Chapter 1. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. If only I could start over. If only I could start over. His vision started to blur and the world fell into darkness. 1 year? 2 years? He didn't know how many years, or maybe it was just an instant. The feeling of being alive suddenly returned. Huff, huff, Yi Chen greedily breathed in and out, taking in big gulps of air. Suddenly Yi Chen was stunned. He opened his eyes abruptly and sat up. However, Yi Chen, who sat up, was still a little dizzy. This is white walls, a wallpapered ceiling, an old-fashioned wooden bed, a broken ceiling fan, a carved glass mirror, and a table that was bitten into pieces by rats. A strange yet somewhat familiar feeling instantly appeared in his mind. This is the house that I have rented for 3 years. Wait. After a short moment of silence, Yi Chen suddenly stood up and hurriedly walked to the side of the table. He looked at the worn-out alarm clock on the table. March 5, 2036, 1800 hours. Yi Chen stared at the clock. Gradually, his body began to tremble more and more violently. Pangu. Primordial age. Yes, it was tonight. At 2000 hours in the evening, meteors from outer space rushed into the Earth. It was today that the Earth suddenly became hundreds of times bigger. It was today that the rules of heaven and earth changed. Mankind returned to the era of cold weapons. It was today that the artificial intelligence called Pangu appeared. The world was taken over by Pangu. The so-called money was unified into credit. It was today that the game that all creatures could enter, Primordial Age, was officially launched. At the beginning of the game, the Eastern Novice area was set with the 3 kingdoms as the background. As long as he obtained the key items in the Novice area, he would be like a fish in water after leaving the Novice area and officially entering Primordial Age. Thinking of this, Yi Chen couldn't help but clench his fists. Before his rebirth, Yi Chen was unknown. He lived at the bottom of the social ladder. Even when he entered the game, he was extremely miserable. That was because Yi Chen was an orphan. How could a rootless duckweed be so simple? How could he be so successful? In the game, Yi Chen fought alone. How could he compare to those forces? At that time, Yi Chen had no idea what the game Primordial World meant. By the time Yi Chen discovered all the secrets, it was already too late. At that time, all the major forces were unbreakable. Whether it was in terms of wealth or strength, Yi Chen, the grassroots of the grassroots, could not compare to them. Until one day, Yi Chen in the real world died in the mouth of a wolf demon and was reborn. In a shabby rented apartment. Yi Chen was silent for a while until his phone rang. Only then did Yi Chen wake up from his deep thoughts. Yi Chen took out an antique cell phone from his pocket. He glanced at it and turned it off. The call was from the manager of the bar. If it had been like in his previous life, Yi Chen would have received a good scolding after picking up the call. Then, he would have run off to work. This was the sorrow of the small fry. In order to live, to be exact, in order to live. Don't steal, don't rob, rely on your own 2 hands, try your best to live. But now, Yi Chen naturally would not pick up the call. Soon, the world would usher in a great change. Although the rich were still rich, at that time, what people valued more was strength. Yes, strength. Soon, this world would become a world where the strong were respected. The law of the jungle, where the strong preyed on the weak, was exposed to the world. Whether it was the human race, the demon race that would appear soon, or the witch race, without exception, they all followed the law of the jungle. Yi Chen let out a long breath. Then, he put on his shoes, thought for a moment, and went out. After getting on line 10, Yi Chen stood in the corner of the carriage. Like many others, he stood quietly, like a stranger who had not integrated into this bustling city, or like a tired traveler. But his eyes became brighter and brighter as the train passed by station after station. On the train, men and women were discussing. There were many different topics, and they changed wave after wave. Yi Chen was not in the mood to pay attention. Yi Chen was going to the forest park in the city. There was something there that Yi Chen had to get his hands on. something that could shorten Yi Chen's struggle. In the city there were red lights and green lights, and it was extremely noisy. The roads were congested as usual. The long headlights were like giant snakes, stretching as far as the eye could see. The sound of car horns could be heard from time to time. On the streets, 99% of the pedestrians coming and going were foreigners who were busy trying to make a living. The locals had houses and cars. They did not need to go to work at all, and they could still meet their needs. Moreover, they had money to spare. Of course, this was only a portion of the locals. There were many locals who still had to work hard to make a living, and also to survive. After getting off the train, Yi Chen, like many other passers-by, walked across the bridge and headed to their respective destinations. Before long, Yi Chen arrived at the forest park. Looking at the closed forest park, Yi Chen let out a long breath. Then, he walked to a deserted corner and climbed over the wall into the forest park. It was already 1930. At this time, the forest park was already in tranquil garden. Yi Chen avoided a few waves of security guards and came to the side of a man-made lake. He sat on a bench and looked at the rippling lake water in front of him, waiting quietly. The moment the clock pointed to 20 o'clock, the pitch-black sky was instantly torn apart. Countless huge shooting stars shone in the sky. Yi Chen looked up at the sky and stood up with a bang. It's here. Chapter 2. The densely packed meteors, with long tails, rushed to the ground one by one. Creak. On the road, the moving cars braked one after another. Bam, bam, bam. Those who braked too slowly hit the car in front. The cars rear-ended one after another, forming a long line. The pedestrians all stopped in their tracks at the same time and stared at the beautiful meteor that was like a firework, dumbfounded. After a short silence, countless screams broke out. Ah! F***ck, the end of the world is here. F***ck, I'm still a virgin. Ah! There were too many meteors. If they hit the ground, the power would be equivalent to many nuclear bombs. No matter how many meteors there were, even if there was only one, the people here would not be able to survive. In the forest park, Yi Chen was not afraid at all. Not only was he not afraid, but he was also very excited. Because Yi Chen knew the secret of the meteors. These meteors were all energy crystals that were controlled by the intelligent brain, Pangu. They would not destroy the earth at all, nor would they kill anyone. They would quickly disintegrate, turn into energy, and transform the earth. Even if they hit people or the ground, there would not be any impact. It was very strange, but all of this was the result of Pangu's control. Pangu had descended along with the meteor. Its arrival was just like the legendary Pangu in the myths and legends. It had created the heavens and earth and changed the world. At this moment, a meteor that kept shrinking rushed toward the artificial lake in the forest park. It was very fast. It was originally half the size of a football field, but as it fell, it kept shrinking. Yi Chen's eyes narrowed, and then he rushed toward the artificial lake. Meteors were all energy crystals, but there were also some other things wrapped in energy crystals. Like impurities, they were everywhere. In the meteor that landed in the artificial lake, there was a bead. Star bead was its name. Its function was very powerful, so powerful that it made all creatures jealous. After entering the game, it could automatically help the host to absorb the wandering energy of the outside world, achieving 100% synchronization between the game and reality. Simply put, as strong as you were in the game, you would be as strong in reality. As for other players, no matter if they were humans, demons, or wizards, even if they were the most talented, their strength in reality would only be half of their strength in the game. There weren't many things that had this kind of ability, and every one of them could cause a bloodbath. And the best of them all was this star pearl. It was 100% synchronized with reality. If he could obtain the star pearl, he would be able to dominate the world even if he was as dumb as a pig. Of course, the prerequisite was that he could rise up. If he couldn't, then it would be useless. However, this did not hinder the power of the star pearl. In his previous life, the one who obtained the star pearl was a member of the Goblin clan, a black fish that was deliberately thrown into the man-made lake. It was so powerful that it made people feel suffocated, and its strength made people feel despair. And now, everything had just begun. Yi Chen naturally wouldn't miss out on the star pearl. Pop! The meteor fell into the lake, causing a layer of ripples on the surface of the lake. At this moment, Yi Chen grabbed the apple-sized energy crystal. In less than 2 breaths, the energy crystal turned into energy and disappeared without a trace, leaving behind only a quaint bead. Star bead! Yi Chen tried his best to calm down. Then, he bit his index finger and dripped a drop of blood onto the star bead. This was the initial master recognition. Otherwise, Yi Chen wouldn't be able to use it at all. The blood that dripped onto the star pearl was instantly absorbed by the star pearl. With a thought, Yi Chen made the star pearl fly towards Yi Chen's forehead. As soon as it touched it, it disappeared. This was Yi Chen keeping the star pearl in his sea of consciousness. He finally got it. Yi Chen let out a long breath. Then, the corner of his mouth couldn't help but curl up. The star pearl was the key. Without it, Yi Chen's path would be very difficult. At this moment, Yi Chen was suddenly stunned. He felt something hit his calf. Looking down, it was a black fish the size of a baby's arm. Sky-devouring Goblin King? Yi Chen raised his eyebrows. Then, he bent down and grabbed this black fish that was supposed to become Sky-devouring Goblin King 5 years later. Walla, walla, the lake water splashed continuously because of the black fish's struggle. Yi Chen grabbed the black fish fiercely. In his previous life, Yi Chen missed out on many good things because of it. It was also because of it that Yi Chen's opportunity to rise disappeared again and again. Because it was the strongest sky-devouring Goblin King in this city. Its strength was tyrannical and invincible, and now it was just a black fish that Yi Chen could kill casually. Yi Chen let out a long breath. Holding the black fish tightly in his right hand, he walked towards the shore. After reaching the shore, Yi Chen threw the black fish fiercely to the ground. Then, he kicked it again and again. Bam! Who told you to snatch my things? Bam! Who told you to snatch my opportunities? Bam! Who told you to be cocky again? Yi Chen kicked it again and again. Soon, this future sky-devouring Goblin King was trampled into pieces. At this moment, an inexplicable fluctuation appeared out of nowhere. Ripples that resembled the beating of a heart appeared one after another. It's coming. The earth is getting bigger. The flowers and trees are also starting to grow crazily. Chapter 3. Thump, thump. Yi Chen stood motionless, quietly waiting for the earth to change. Thump, thump. The inexplicable fluctuations continued. Under Yi Chen's feet, the black fish that could have become the sky-devouring Demon King had moved 10 meters away in the blink of an eye. Yi Chen didn't move, and the black fish that was trampled to pieces couldn't move either. It was the earth that moved. The earth changed again, and the earth became bigger again. Thump, thump. Everything around Yi Chen kept moving further and further away. 10 meters, 20 meters, 30 meters, 50 meters, 100 meters. Originally, such a huge change should have triggered a strong earthquake and destroyed everything. However, the disaster didn't come, and the high-rise buildings were still intact. Only the area outside the house had changed. The road had been destroyed, revealing sections of dirt road. Thump, thump. The changes continued, but the momentum began to slow down. Buzz. The low sound of the ancient ox horn suddenly resounded between heaven and earth. At this time, the flowers and trees in the forest park grew up at a speed visible to the naked eye. 10 meters, 20 meters, 30 meters, 100 meters, 200 meters. The plants seemed to have been injected with chicken blood, growing crazily, completely against common sense. However, all of this, at the moment when the intelligent brain Panga descended, there was no common sense. Yi Chen looked at the constantly changing forest park and the asphalt road that was constantly pierced by the grass and then decomposed. He let out a long breath. The rules of the world have also changed. At this time, guns have lost their function, nuclear bombs have also lost their effectiveness, and the world has returned to the era of cold weapons. After talking to himself, Yi Chen stepped forward and left the forest park. On the street, there were shocked people everywhere. Screams and shouts were everywhere. The atmosphere of panic, shock, and fear was extremely strong. The unknown was the most terrifying. No one knew why such a change would happen. It was against common sense and couldn't be explained. Yi Chen didn't pay attention to it, nor did he stay. He went directly to a big hotel far away from the zoo. The power had been destroyed, but it would be restored soon. The power was supplied by the intelligent brain Pangu, and the power was generated by a small thing that far surpassed the technology of the Earth. A palm-sized object could satisfy the electricity needs of a city with a population of tens of millions. However, in the current city, whether it was a bungalow or a skyscraper, they would all turn into dust in 3 days. Meanwhile, the intelligent brain Pangu would build one city after another at an unimaginable speed. If you want to live in the city, you can spend money to buy a house. The price is not high, you can basically afford it. It didn't matter if he couldn't afford it. He could rent it. If he couldn't even afford to rent it, he could only wait for death. Wisdom Brain Pangu would never pity such a person. That was because once the primordial world was opened, there were opportunities everywhere. Even if one chose a secondary occupation, such as picking herbs or mining, one could still earn money for renting a house. Of course, the house was not big. It was like a capsule house. Even so, it was still a place where people flocked to. Because it was a safe zone. Even though the time of safety was only a pitiful 3 months. However, if they did not stay in the safe zone, it would be very dangerous outside. To put it simply, the demon race ate humans, and they loved to eat them. In the eyes of the demon race, humans were moving supertonics. When Pangu descended and the primordial world was opened, the enormous energy of heaven and earth would awaken the intelligence of most birds and beasts. Such an existence, even a docile rabbit, would become extremely ferocious. In his previous life, some people were bitten to pieces by ferocious rabbits and then eaten. That was because those people wanted to catch rabbits and eat some wild game. Unfortunately, they caught rabbits that had awakened their intelligence. Compared to humans, birds, beasts, and even insects were all gifted. Even if they slept, they would become stronger faster than humans. As long as they had awakened their intelligence, they could absorb the energy of heaven and earth even if they did not cultivate any cultivation technique. Humans could not do that at all. In the end, those who wanted to eat wild game were unlucky and paid the price with their lives. Yi Chen rented a house in the suburbs. That was the main reason why Yi Chen did not choose to go back. Along the way, Yi Chen stopped when he came to a row of bicycles that were painted yellow. A few minutes later, the neon lights in the city lit up at the same time as if nothing had happened. Yi Chen took out his mobile phone and scanned the QR code. The deposit was 300 credits, and the usage fee was 1 credit per hour. If it were anyone else, they would have been stunned by the strange notification, but Yi Chen was not surprised at all. At this moment, Pangu had taken over the world. Everyone's money had turned into credits. When people used bank cards, mobile phones, and online payments, they would all become like this. This was only for now. In 1 or 2 hours, everyone would receive a wristwatch. The wristwatch came from Pangu and had powerful functions. Could be used as a bank card, a phone, and even video chat. Of course, the most important thing about the wristwatch was that it could be logged into the primordial world. When he arrived at the 5-star hotel, Yi Chen walked directly into the elevator, went up to the 11th floor, and then came to room 1101. Ding! The door opened automatically. Yi Chen did not have a room card with him, but now that the world was under Pangu's control, there was no need for a room card. Yi Chen walked in without hesitation and closed the door. He glanced at the furnishings in the room and smiled. This is the place. The diamond-level gaming chamber belongs to me. The wristwatch could be used to log into the game, but there were other things in the world that could be used to log into the primordial world. For humans, it was the gaming chamber. Black iron, bronze, silver, gold, and diamond levels were the 5 levels of the gaming chamber. Those who used the gaming chamber to log into the game could obtain a 5% to 15% increase in the game's real-life ability, but there was another important function. Entering the game in advance. Watching Pangu split the sky, one could obtain different skills according to one's understanding. When the clock pointed to 22 o'clock, a ball of light the size of a water tank suddenly appeared in room 1101. Yi Chen, who had been waiting quietly, suddenly opened his eyes. A diamond-level gaming chamber. Chapter 4. The ball of light dissipated, and a game cabin that was shining with diamond light appeared in front of Yi Chen's eyes. A diamond-level game cabin, it was really diamond-level. Even if he knew that a diamond-level game cabin would appear here, Yi Chen could not suppress his excitement at this moment. No one knew better than Yi Chen what it meant to enter the game in advance and watch Pangu split open the sky. Especially the first batch of living beings to watch Pangu split open the sky using the diamond-level game cabin. Yi Chen looked at the diamond-level game cabin and took a deep breath. After a long exhalation, he tried to calm down and then walked to the side of the game cabin. Opening the lid, Yi Chen lay down. The moment Yi Chen lay down, the lid of the game cabin automatically closed. Yi Chen's consciousness instantly appeared in a chaotic space. It was pitch black here. There was no time, no space, no sky, no earth, no smell, no sound, nothing. There was only endless chaos. This was chaos, the chaos that gave birth to Pangu. At this moment, a cracking sound came from afar. It was like an eggshell cracking. After a short silence, a giant stood up. His aura was wild and wild. Domineering. This was Pangu. It was him. It must be him. Yi Chen was very far away from Pangu and could not see Pangu's face at all. However, Yi Chen knew that the giant in the distance, the giant who was standing in the chaos and releasing his aura, was Pangu. Pangu suddenly felt that the chaos was very oppressive and immediately let out a roar. Roar! Boom! Crack! Crack! Countless red thunderbolts flashed in the chaos as if to break this oppressive world. The chaos that was originally empty suddenly billowed with smoke and dust, setting off waves after waves of air. This was Pangu's roar. Suddenly, Pangu raised his right hand, and a pitch-black axe flew toward Qin Mu. The chaos treasure, Pangu axe. Pangu, who was holding Pangu axe, raised it high. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes later. After a loud shout, Pangu axe slashed at the chaos. Rumble. Thunder rumbled through the primal chaos, shaking Yi Chen so much that his soul nearly dissipated. It was at this moment that one ball of light after another appeared in the primal chaos. Someone had used a game capsule or other equipment to enter the primordial world in advance. Yi Chen didn't even look at Pangu. Instead, he fixed his eyes on Pangu, not wanting to miss a single thing. At this moment, a beam of light appeared from the chaos. The chaos seemed to be split into two. However, soon, the glowing crack suddenly began to close. Humph! Pangu snorted coldly, then wielded the Pangu axe again and hacked down fiercely. It was still the same position as before, without the slightest deviation. Boom! 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 Countless thick red lightning bolts danced madly. Once again, a large chunk of chaos was cleaved open. Pangu frowned and swung his axe again. Ka, the chaos was split apart. At this time, countless balls of light appeared. Yi Chen, on the other hand, was drowsy. He couldn't sleep. She absolutely could not fall asleep. He had to finish watching. Yi Chen was like a madman, forcing himself not to sleep. His right hand pinched his thigh tightly. The sharp pain from his soul woke Yi Chen up from his sleep again and again. Pangu looked at the chaos that was split apart and couldn't help but smile. However, the chaos that had just been separated actually began to gather again. Pangu was instantly furious. After a moment of silence, Pangu took a step forward and stood in the middle of the two chaos. His head reached the sky and his feet touched the ground. At this moment, Pangu's body continued to grow larger and larger. The chaos was forcibly separated by Pangu's body. Time passed bit by bit. 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 100,000 years. Pangu's body was growing all the time. Heaven and earth finally stabilized. Pangu glanced at the desolate world, then looked up at the sky, smiled coldly, and then his body fell. Pangu died, but his body turned into all things. This was Pangu splitting the sky. Yi Chen, who insisted on seeing the last scene, fell into a deep sleep after thinking about it. At the same time, all the sentient beings in the world heard a sentence. The Eldritch world has officially opened. All living beings who have obtained a login device can enter. When the Eldritch world opened, the first thing to enter was not humans, but birds and beasts. Because humans were complicated existences, the world had undergone a huge change, and an Eldritch world game had suddenly appeared. What login device could they use to log in directly? The impact of all this was too great. It was so great that almost everyone didn't enter the game immediately, but discussed these changes and what the Eldritch world was. Damn it, there's a meteor, the place is growing bigger, flowers and trees are growing crazily, and now there's a Eldritch world game. What the hell is going on? F*CK, I called 110, but I can't get out. There's no signal on my phone. Is this the rhythm of the end of the world? But what about the zombies? What about the monsters? Why is nothing happening? There were many people discussing, so much so that it was beyond imagination. But soon, some people tried to enter the Eldritch world game. Not long after, these people who entered the Eldritch world game logged out one by one. Then, they logged in again with a look of disbelief. After trying again, they finally realized that the Eldritch world game was too realistic. It was a 100% simulation. Then, more and more people went home or went to the hotel before hurriedly entering the game. The legendary consciousness entering the game had really happened. Whether it was actively discovered or passively heard, basically, more than 70% of the people rushed into the Eldritch world immediately. At a 5-star hotel, Yi Chen was really in a deep sleep. However, Yi Chen entered the game the moment the Eldritch world officially opened. When others logged into the game, they created an account and chose a spawn location. The spawn location was also an area of human activity. But Yi Chen was different. The Yi Chen in the game was also in a state of deep sleep. However, his spawn location was on a mountaintop. A mountaintop that was 10,000 meters tall. Roar! Roar! A roar that echoed through the mountains was suddenly heard. Chapter 5. 100-meter-long giant tiger covered in black and white stripes suddenly appeared on the west side of the mountain peak. Its two eyes, which were as large as water tanks, stared ferociously to the east. It opened its mouth slightly and growled in a low voice. The next second, a 200-meter-long giant snake covered in black scales and with a sarcoma on its head appeared on the east side of the mountain peak. Its huge and forked tongue flicked in and out. Its two cold eyes stared at the giant tiger without showing any signs of weakness. This mountain was extremely steep and could be said to be straight up and down. Apart from birds, it was basically impossible for anything to climb up. However, at this moment, a giant tiger and a huge black snake had climbed up. The black snake's ascent could be explained by the fact that snakes were good at climbing. However, the fact that the giant tiger could also climb up was a little surprising. But in fact, that was the case. The tiger and the snake did not move. Instead, they stared at each other intently. Upon closer inspection, it was not difficult to notice that they were not only staring at each other, but also at the unconscious Yi Chen in the middle of the mountain peak. They also stared at the red fruit hanging on the strange tree beside Yi Chen. Time slowly passed. Suddenly, a strange fragrance wafted from the mountain peak. The appearance of the strange fragrance immediately caused the tiger and the snake to become restless. The already tense atmosphere instantly became even more tense. The standoff could end at any moment. When an even stronger strange fragrance wafted into the air, the giant tiger and the snake let out a deafening roar at the same time and charged at each other. As for Yi Chen, who was lying on the ground, he was ignored by the tiger and snake. Because Yi Chen was too weak. Be it the giant tiger or the snake, they could kill Yi Chen in one strike. The giant tiger and the snake began an intense battle. Rubble rolled as they roared repeatedly. Roar! Roar! The two of them fought fiercely, but they left the middle of the mountain peak at the same time. They were afraid that the red fruit would be destroyed. Blood quickly appeared on the snake's body. The giant tiger's claws were extremely sharp, and its canines were even more ferocious. Although the snake was at a disadvantage, the giant tiger did not dare to approach it. This was because it knew the consequences of being entangled by the snake. At this moment, an even stronger strange fragrance wafted over. The giant tiger and the black snake, without exception, became anxious. Because the fruit was about to ripen. Roar! Roar! After two deafening roars, the battle between the giant tiger and the black snake escalated. Tiger fur and snake scales flew out continuously. At this moment, Yi Chen opened his eyes. Ding! Player Yi Chen watched Pan Gu split open the heavens and comprehended the 9 revolutions mysterious art. Ding! Player Yi Chen watched Pan Gu split open the heavens and comprehended the Shunshao Imperial Thunder technique. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chen for viewing Pan Gu's creation of the heavens. Luck plus 100. After being in a daze for a short while, Yi Chen suddenly opened his eyes. Ha ha ha! Crazy laughter rang out. After all the bitterness, the sweetness came, and he got what he wanted. Once the 9 revolutions mysterious art was cultivated to the large success stage, one would be able to prove their Tao through strength. Once the Shunshao thunder controlling art was mastered, one would be able to control divine punishment. No matter which one of them appeared, it would set off a storm of blood, let alone 2 at the same time. Of course, now both cultivation techniques had an owner, and they belonged to Yi Chen. Yi Chen's laughter stopped abruptly at this moment, because Yi Chen saw a giant tiger and a giant black snake. They stopped fighting, and 2 pairs of eyes as big as water tanks, without exception, stared at Yi Chen. Frost Tiger, the predecessor of the Black Flood Dragon, Yi Chen instantly recognized the origin of these 2 giant beasts. These were all level 100 field bosses, existences that could rival famous generals in history. And Yi Chen was only level 1 at the moment, a rookie who couldn't be more inexperienced. At this moment, an extremely strong fragrance came. The tiger snake was immediately stimulated and was about to pounce. Yi Chen suddenly thought of something, and his right hand suddenly swung and then grabbed a red fruit. Crimson Sun Fruit. Yellow level spiritual medicine must be taken within 15 minutes after plucking, otherwise it will turn into ashes, increasing the probability of evolution by 30%. The tiger snake stared at this fruit, its goal was to swallow it and evolve. Yi Chen was also envious, after all, this was a graded spiritual medicine. As long as it was preserved with special methods, when one's strength reached a certain level, they might be able to evolve into the innate stage after eating it. Unfortunately, Yi Chen could only use this as bait and throw it out. This throw didn't matter, but the tiger and the black snake that were already about to go crazy instantly rushed towards each other. Merciless biting and cold strangling. The tiger bit the black snake's weak point, and its tiger claws crazily swung. The black snake bit the tiger's neck, and at the same time, its body tightly wrapped around the tiger, and then fiercely tightened. The black snake was highly poisonous, and the tiger couldn't avoid the black snake's bite, and then its eyes revealed an even crazier look. A white light flashed, and a crunching sound was heard. The tiger bit off the black snake's weak point and then bit the snake's head. The black snake went crazy at this moment because of the pain and the threat of death. The black snake bit the tiger's neck with its fangs, and as if it didn't care about its life, it crazily injected its poison into the tiger's body, and then crazily strangled the black tiger. Crack, crack sounds were heard. This was the sound of bones breaking. The tiger's bones were broken by the black snake, and the number of broken bones was increasing. Crack sounds were heard. The tiger bit off the black snake's head, and bit off a part of it. Its life force quickly left the tiger and the black snake. Yi Chen saw this and raised his eyebrows. After waiting for a while, he casually picked up 2 stones and threw them at the tiger and the black snake. The tiger and the black snake didn't die, but they didn't have the strength to move at all. After Yi Chen confirmed that the tiger and the black snake were hit by the stones, he immediately heaved a sigh of relief, and then began to pick up stones and throw them at them. Time slowly passed, and an hour later, the tiger and the black snake almost lost their lives at the same time. At this moment, a system announcement suddenly sounded in the minds of all living creatures. Ding! Player Yi Chen has achieved the first kill of the level 100 wilderness boss, Sapphire Tiger King. Reward: 100,000 gold coins, 100,000 merit points, and 100,000 reputation points. Ding! Player Yi Chen has killed the level 100 wilderness boss Blackwater Mystical Snake. Reward: 50,000 gold coins, 50,000 merit points, and 50,000 reputation points. Chapter 6. F***CK. Level 100? Are you kidding me? I'm still killing rabbits and chickens, and that Yi Chen has already killed a level 100 big boss? Cheating. That's F***King cheating. F***CK me, my idol. What level is he? What's the point of playing this trashy game? F***CK, there's a cheater right at the start. This is unfair. That's right, I strongly protest. The game must be fair. Fair. Take back everything that Yi Chen got. Otherwise, I'm not playing anymore. What the F***CK? What kind of game is this? Is there a truth emperor? Explain yourself. F***CK. You're all rich. You're just chatting and posting in the World Channel. Each message costs 100 bucks. No, it's 100 credits. Ha! All I have is money. The World Society is now recruiting members. Those who are not afraid of death and are willing to contribute will be well paid. There were all kinds of comments in the World Channel. Some said they were not playing, some advertised, some were envious, and some were insulting. Yi Chen glanced at them and stopped paying attention. It was useless to say anything. Even if these people did not play, Pangu would not care. They would be the ones regretting it, not Pangu. At the same time, Yi Chen's body lit up with golden light again and again before it finally stopped. This was the light of leveling up. Yi Chen, 3rd Baron level, level 50 reputation, 150,000 increases the attractiveness of historical figures, merit points, 150,000, the standard for promotion is 100,000 merit points for a 3rd rank Baron. Strength, 80 innate ability, 80 spirit, 100 fortune, hidden martial arts, 9 transformations mystic art, divine night lightning manipulation equipment, none money, 150,000 gold. While other people were killing chickens and dogs and trying their best to reach level 5, Yi Chen had already reached level 50. While others were still fretting over their equipment and gameplay, Yi Chen had already arrived in front of the 2 wasteland bosses. Looking at the 2 huge corpses in front of him, Yi Chen smirked and slapped the Blackwater Mystical Snake's body. In the next second, the Blackwater Mystical Snake's body disappeared, revealing a shiny item. The moment he saw the item, Yi Chen's eyes narrowed. Village Building Order. It was at least a diamond-level village creation token. Otherwise, it wouldn't be glowing. Yi Chen couldn't wait to pick up the quaint signboard on the ground. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi-Chun for obtaining Village Creation Token, God Level. God Level Village Creation Token. F***CK. It really was a God Level Village Creation Token. The Village Creation Token was a necessary item to become a lord. Starting from black iron, they were divided into black iron, bronze, silver, gold, diamond, and divine. A diamond village creation token could be used directly in the real world, and a god village creation token was of course not a problem. As for the other grades, they would need to be specially marked. Village Creation Order, Real. At first, no one understood the meaning of the word true. It wasn't until 3 months later that someone discovered this secret. It was an existence that could be directly used in the real world. Even though the price of upgrading a village's level was extremely high, many forces were still willing to invest everything they had. Because after 3 months, the so-called safe zone would no longer have the property of being safe. Using Earth's materials to build a base or a city, even if it was 10 meters thick steel or even alloy walls, it would be useless. Only by using the village creation token, the village that was built would have a strong defensive ability. He didn't expect to actually obtain a god-level village creation token. It seemed that the reward of skipping levels was indeed great. However, if I wasn't the first to see Pangu split open the sky, and if I didn't persist to the end, I wouldn't have received plus 100 luck. Without that luck, I probably wouldn't have met the blue-eyed Tiger King and the Blackwater mystical snake. Yi-Chun let out a long breath. His right hand once again slapped the blue-eyed Tiger King. The Tiger King immediately disappeared, revealing a quaint and dark spear. Yi-Chun casually picked it up, and his arm instantly sank. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi-Chun for obtaining Innate Treasure Godslayer, damaged. What? After Yi-Chun heard the system's notification, he couldn't help but be stunned, and hurriedly looked at the spear in his hand. Godslayer, damaged innate treasure, damage due to Pangu splitting open the sky, fell into the mortal world, restoration requirements unknown. Special features. 1. Shatter weapons lower than the Godslayer, the lower the grade, the higher the chance. After use, the soul is bound, unable to trade, drop, or steal. Holy shit! Yi-Chen's eyes suddenly widened. The Godslayer was an innate treasure, not a cabbage. Although it was damaged, and its power was less than 1%, it was still not something that silver, gold, or diamond equipment could compare to. Yi-Chen didn't even think, and directly chose to use it. Chapter 7. Buzz the Godslayer made a trembling sound and then disappeared. At this time, Yi-Chen waved his right hand, and the dark, thick, and domineering Godslayer instantly appeared in Yi-Chen's hand. And the weight was actually very convenient. A prenatal treasure is a prenatal treasure, even if it's incomplete. Yi-Chen was in a good mood. With a thought, the Godslayer instantly disappeared. Next, I should find a place to build a village. Yi-Chen looked around and couldn't help but frown. Building a village was the prerequisite to becoming a lord. And becoming a lord allowed one to participate in all kinds of large-scale missions, occupy secret realms, seize resources, obtain large amounts of money and items, and obtain all kinds of generous rewards. There were many benefits. Yi-Chun, who had the memories of his previous life, naturally wouldn't miss out on the lord profession. In his previous life, Yi-Chun was a lone ranger. He didn't even have the qualifications to be cannon fodder. But this wasn't important. What was important was that Yi-Chun clearly knew that as long as there was an awesome existence, there was no exception. They were all lords. Even the shifters and witches were no exception. To live freely, whether it was in reality or in the game, one needed strength. Powerful strength. Enough strength to crush everything. Therefore, Yi-Chun had to use the village creation token. Whether it was in the game or in reality, he had to use it to build his own territory. And at this moment, in the prehistoric game, the place where Yi-Chun was at was simply not suitable to use the village creation token. This was the top of a mountain, the top of a 10,000-meter high mountain. If he couldn't even accept villagers, how could he upgrade the village? Not to mention the large amount of resources needed to build a village. There was also none here. Could it be that I can only commit suicide? Yi Chen walked around the edge of the mountain and then frowned. This place was straight up and down. There was no path for Yi Chen to walk. No. I'm already level 50. Dying and losing levels isn't scary. What's scary is that I'll drop items. The god-level village creation token definitely can't be dropped. Thinking of this, Yi Chen's mood suddenly became unhappy. However, this unhappiness didn't last for more than 3 seconds. Yi Chen suddenly waved his hand, and the God Slayer instantly appeared. Yi Chen then viciously stabbed the rock. Poochie! A sound was heard. The God Slayer plunged into the rock effortlessly. Seriously? The corners of Yi Chen's mouth twitched involuntarily as he walked to the edge of the mountain peak. Yi Chen took a look at the clouds in the sky and let out a long breath. Then, he leaped into the clouds in an instant. A breath later, the God Slayer was summoned by Yi Chen and stabbed into the rock wall. His rapidly falling body instantly stopped. After pausing for a moment, the God Slayer instantly disappeared, and Yi Chen's body fell rapidly once more. Again and again, the God Slayer continued to stab into the stone wall. When Yi Chen arrived at the foot of the mountain, he heaved a sigh of relief. There was no need to commit suicide, and the god-level village creation token was saved. As for other dangers, Yi Chen didn't think there would be any. Since there was a level 100 Blue Crystal Tiger King and a level 100 Blackwater Mystical Snake here, there shouldn't be any wild beasts nearby. As for bandits, it was even more unlikely that there would be any. When Yi Chen turned around and looked at his surroundings, looking for a way out, he was stunned. Only now did Yi Chen realize that he was actually in a valley. When he first came down, he couldn't see the scenery clearly because of the white clouds. When he came down, he had to be alert at all times to avoid accidentally dying, so he didn't look around. But now Yi Chen finally saw clearly. This place was actually a valley, an incomparably huge valley. In the distance there were trees that reached hundreds of meters into the sky. In front of him, flowers and plants were everywhere, and butterflies and bees were dancing. The valley wasn't sealed. Directly to the west, there was a vertical canyon about a kilometer wide that could be used to leave the valley. This place, no one seemed to have discovered it in his previous life. Yi Chen was silent for a moment. Then, he shook his head and stopped thinking about these questions. However, Yi Chen temporarily gave up on the idea of leaving. Yi Chen looked around the valley. Before long, he saw more than a dozen springs. 5 of them formed a huge lake in the north. 5 of them leaped out of the water. The 3 of them formed a small stream on the south side of the cliff. 4 of them formed a small stream on the hibernating cliff. There was a small stream at the entrance of the valley. The water came from the lake and the stream in the valley. It flowed out of the valley and merged into a surging river outside the valley. Outside the valley, there were towering trees that stretched as far as the eye could see. This was a forest. He didn't know how big the forest was. Yi Chen picked the tallest tree nearby. After climbing up, he looked into the distance. Not long after, Yi Chen began to laugh. His laughter was carefree. Because the river flowed into the sea, Yi Chen saw the sea. The sea stretched as far as the eye could see. The sea was rich in resources, and the land in the valley was extremely fertile. There were springs, wood, and stone materials. Outside the valley was an endless forest. All the resources needed to build a village could be found here. Moreover, the valley was ridiculously big. It wouldn't affect the upgrading of the village in the future, even if it was upgraded to a capital city. The valley was sealed with walls. At that time, no matter if it was humans, demons, or even witches, they wouldn't be able to easily break in. Yi Chen had seen too many battles and attacks in his previous life. The witches, demons, and humans had fought and attacked each other for many years without stopping. Therefore, Yi Chen preferred to build his base so that it couldn't be broken. The valley he found now was simply tailor-made for Yi Chen. Yi Chen didn't hesitate to return to the valley. After choosing a place, he took out the village creation token. Use. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chen for building a village. Please name the village. Yi Chen was silent for a moment. Then, he said 2 words. Reincarnation. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chen for building the reincarnation village. In the next second, 3 straw huts appeared where Yi Chen was standing. One was big, and the other 2 were small. Just then, a system announcement rang out in the minds of all living beings. Ding! Player Yi Chen is the first to build a village. Special reward. Reincarnation Village. Eldritch First Village. Ding! Player Yi Chen is the first to build a village. Special reward. Reincarnation Village. Eldritch First Village. Ding! Player Yi Chen is the first to build a village. Special reward. Reincarnation Village. Eldritch First Village. Chapter 8. Another system announcement. Moreover, it was repeated 3 times. The entire wilderness was in an uproar. Holy shit, can someone tell me if this Yi Chen guy's real name? Who the hell knows if it's his real name? But this bro is pretty awesome. How long has it been? The system announcements are all because of him. Big bro Yi Chen, please take me along. I know how to warm your bed. Yi Chen, private message me. What is a village creation token? How can I get one? I'll thank you. Holy shit. Boss Yi Chen, don't be so selfish. Just say it in the World Channel. Just 100 credits. After you say it, we'll all give you 100 credits each. How can 100 be enough? At least 10,000. Old bro Yi Chen, hurry up and say it. As long as you say it, I'll immediately transfer you 10,000 credits. Yi Chen naturally saw the contents of the World Channel. They were all saying things like 100 credits, 1,000 credits, 10,000 credits, or even 100,000 credits. This kind of content was starting to flood the screen. Everyone wanted to know about the village creation token. After all, the real world had changed greatly, and the wilderness was so different. No matter who it was, they all wanted to know about it, whether it was related to the wilderness or the real world. With the system announcing it again and again, everyone understood one thing. Yi Chen had information that they didn't know about. They all wanted to know the contents of this information. This included those who had obtained game capsules and entered the game early. They were able to watch Pangu split open the heavens and obtain cultivation technique. Unfortunately, Yi Chen chose to ignore them. Yi Chen wasn't a savior, nor was he a good person. How could he tell others what the village creation token was, or how to obtain it? Not to mention, 99% of the people here were scammers. They were all people who wanted to gain something without risking anything. Yi Chen wouldn't say it. The World Channel was in chaos. Yi Chen casually turned off the friend function. He wasn't going to add anyone. At this moment, 3 figures appeared beside Yi Chen. The light dissipated, and 2 men and a woman appeared. A white-haired old man, a middle-aged man, and a young girl. After the 3 of them appeared, they were at a loss for a moment. When they saw Yi Chen, they bowed in unison and said, "Greetings, my lord." The Primordial World was a good game. It was 100% realistic. However, if he really treated this as a game, he would suffer a great loss. At least for now, apart from some otakus, only Yi Chen would treat the so-called NPCs in the Chaos World seriously. This was because Yi Chen knew that the NPCs in the Primordial World were real people and not simulated by the system. "You guys are here." Yi Chen looked at the 3 of them and said gently, "Yes, my lord," the 3 replied in unison. The 3 of them were the initial characters that the system had gifted to Yi Chen after he had built the village. They would assist him in building his territory. No matter who it was, as long as they built a village, the system would give them 3 people. However, the higher the grade of the village creation token, the higher the grade of the village creation token, the higher the grade of the village creation token. As for subordinates, players could easily check their information. In an instant, the information of the three people appeared in Yi Chen's line of sight. Zhaoheng, SSS grade, God level village creation token increases territory residence aptitude by 2 levels, loyalty, 90 politics, 92 force, 52 bone frame, 68 spirit, 82 Zhaomeng, SSS grade, profession, general loyalty, 90 force, 93 politics, 20 bone frame, 82 spirit, 81 Zhaoyu, SSS grade, profession, senior doctor loyalty, 90 force, 40 politics, 50 bone frame, 90 spirit, 91. Seeing this, Yi Chen's eyes suddenly shrank. Because of their grades, because of their stats, and even more because of the heaven-defying godly village creation token. The attributes of the three of them were comparable to some historical figures, especially Zhao Meng, whose martial strength had reached 93 points. It must be known that only famous historical figures would have over 90 points in their stat. And Zhao Meng had actually reached 93 points. Of course, this was only talking about stats. Compared to famous historical figures, Zhao Meng was not only lacking in stats, but also in skills, tactics, and other factors. And Zhao Yu was not bad either. Not only did her stats reach 90 points, but she was also a senior doctor. Yi Chen looked at the three people's stats again and again. He was in a good mood. Of course, Yi Chen was even more carefree because of the God-level village creation token. It could actually increase the territory residence aptitude by 2 levels. What this meant, at this moment, besides the system, perhaps only Yi Chen himself knew. Every territory would spawn refugees every day. They were the foundation of the territory. Farming, logging, mining, raising fish, building boats, breeding animals, taming animals, and so on, all of these could not be separated from refugees. More importantly, the soldiers in the army also had to be selected from these refugees. And the newly spawned refugees were generally D grade. Most of them were F grade and some were even worse. This also determined that the initial ability of the soldiers was very weak. And Yi Chen's territory used the God-level village creation token. No matter what grade the refugees were, they would be increased by 2 levels upon entry. This was an advantage, and it was a huge advantage. Whether it was the construction or the army, the key factor was still people. Others were F or D grade, but in Yi Chen's territory, the worst was C grade, and there were even B grade. If the other party sent out 10 soldiers, Yi Chen only needed 1 to sweep through the other party's soldiers. Thinking of this, Yi Chen's mood became even better. Chapter 9. Welcome to the Reincarnation Village. Zhaoheng, from today onwards, you are the vice-chief of the village. Yi Chen looked at the old man and said without hesitation. Zhaoheng was stunned. He never thought that Yi Chen would appoint him as the vice-chief of the Reincarnation Village. He felt the power of the Reincarnation Village as soon as he arrived. The God-level village creation token was not just for show. Not to mention the other functions, just the ability to raise one's aptitude by 2 ranks was enough to make Zhao Heng die to stay in the Reincarnation Village. Because, even in the Imperial City, it could only raise one's status by 1 rank. Zhao Heng greets the Lord. Zhao Heng bowed and said excitedly. Ding. Zhao Heng is moved. Loyalty plus 10. Ding. Zhao Heng's loyalty has reached 100. Promoted to die loyal, never betray. Zhao Heng became the vice-chief of the Reincarnation Village. In the future, he might become the vice-mayor or even the vice-mayor. Moreover, this was not an ordinary village. This was the Reincarnation Village. It was built with the God-level village creation token. It was no wonder Zhao Heng was so excited. Yi Chen smiled and nodded. Then he looked at Zhao Meng and said, in the future, the soldiers of the Reincarnation Village will be under your command. In the Reincarnation Village, we are not afraid of your strength. The stronger the strength, the heavier the burden. But the prerequisite is that you must be loyal. No matter what you did before, remember, you are a member of the reincarnation village. You live as a member of the reincarnation village and die as a soul of the reincarnation village. Hearing this, Zhao Meng's eyes flashed. He knelt down on one knee and shouted, Zhao Meng greets the Lord. Ding. Zhao Meng's worries have been removed. Loyalty plus 10. Ding. Zhao Meng's loyalty has reached 100. Promoted to die loyal, never betray. Yi Chen nodded with satisfaction. Zhao Meng's strength was as high as 93 points. If it was someone else, they might not think about the reason. But Yi Chen was different. Yi Chen had the memories of his past life. A person like Zhao Meng, no matter where he was, would be used by others. No matter how bad he was, he would at least be a sergeant, a centurion, or even a general commanding an army. But now, he was a refugee. Yi Chen didn't know the exact reason, but it couldn't be that they had been ostracized or had offended the rich and powerful. That was why Yi Chen chose to say that and made it clear. Otherwise, Zhao Meng might not have become a loyal fan. Yi Chen looked at Zhao Yu. What a beautiful girl. Yi Chen hadn't looked at it carefully before. Now that he did, he couldn't help but be stunned. Halfway through, Yi Chen hurriedly shut up. In ancient times, it was frivolous to say such things to a woman. It could even be called flirting. Even if she was really beautiful, one shouldn't say such things. Ding. Zhao Yu's loyalty minus 10. Ding. Zhao Yu's loyalty minus 10. Ding. Zhao Yu's loyalty minus 10. F***CK. Yi Chen's face stiffened and the corner of his mouth couldn't help but twitch. F***CK. His mouth was cheap. Fortunately, it didn't drop again. If it dropped again, the senior doctor would run away. Zhao Heng noticed that Zhao Yu was looking at Yi Chen with disgust and hurriedly shouted, don't be rude. Ahem, it's okay. I was too rash. Yi Chen laughed a few times and waved his hand to indicate that it was okay. As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, he suddenly remembered something. The three subordinates in front of him all had the surname Zhao, and they seemed to know each other. Zhao Heng was very observant. After noticing Yi Chen's doubts, he immediately said, My lord, Zhao Meng is my son, and Yu is my eldest brother's child. She also has an elder brother, but he followed his master to the mountain to learn martial arts when he was very young. A while ago, Zhao Heng paused for a moment and then continued, A while ago, my son killed Chongshan Zhending, County Magistrate Wang's eldest son. So I took my son and Yu away from home. After Zhao Heng finished speaking, he did not say anything else. He stood there motionlessly, waiting for Yi Chen's decision. Killing the county magistrate's son, Yi Chen was slightly stunned. He didn't expect that Zhao Meng's family became refugees because of this. Ding. Zhao Yu's favorability minus 10. Ding. Zhao Yu's favorability minus 10. Relationship changed to disgust. F***CK. Yi Chen hurriedly looked at Zhao Heng and said in a low voice, I've said before. Zhao Meng killed the county magistrate's son. Even if he killed the emperor's son, he is still a person of reincarnation village. My lord! Zhao Heng suddenly burst into tears. Zhao Meng also clenched his fists and was very excited. Zhao Meng swears to follow my lord to death. Zhao Meng shouted and knelt down on one knee. Ding. Zhao Yu's loyalty plus 10. Ding. Zhao Yu's loyalty plus 10. Ding. Zhao Yu's loyalty plus 10. Ding. Zhao Yu's favorability plus 10. Relationship changed to normal. Ding. Zhao Yu's favorability plus 10. Relationship became more friendly. Ding. Zhao Yu's favorability plus 10. My God, I finally recovered. F***CK. It was easy for me. I just stared blankly for a while. This little girl, Yi Chen, secretly breathed a sigh of relief, then looked at Zhao Yu and said, From now on, you will be in charge of the medical center of Reincarnation Village. Yes, my lord. Zhao Yu nodded and replied. Yi Chen nodded. He didn't dare to continue talking to this little girl. She was like a little wildcat. She would explode at the slightest provocation. Wait, I seem to have overlooked something. Yi Chen suddenly froze and then began to think. After a few breaths, Yi Chen suddenly looked at Zhao Heng. My lord? Zhao Heng was stunned and called out in confusion. You are from Mount Changjinding? Yi Chen hurriedly asked. Yes, my lord, I am from Mount Changjinding. Zhao Heng nodded, but the expression on his face became more confused. Do you know Zhao Yun, Zhao Zilong? Yi Chen asked with shining eyes. He is Yu Er's brother, my nephew. My lord, do you know? Zhao Heng asked with a puzzled face. F***ck. Hearing this, Yi Chen suddenly became very excited. The way he looked at Zhao Heng, Zhao Meng, and Zhao Yu also became very friendly. Chapter 10. Zhao Yun was a super famous historical general. If he could get Zhao Yun, it would be like adding wings to a tiger for Yi Chen. Now that Zhao Yun's family had become villagers of Reincarnation Village, Yi Chen's chances of getting Zhao Yun's loyalty increased greatly. Yi Chen was naturally in a good mood. After all, having the loyalty of a famous historical general and not having one were two different concepts. With a famous historical general, it would be much easier to send troops to war or plunder. After all, Yi Chen's goal was to plunder all resources. In the initial stages of the Primordial era game, each country was set with a different game background by the AI Pangu. Take the East for example, the game progress here was the Three Kingdoms. This was a trial and also a protection in disguise. It could be said that the place where all living beings were now was the novice zone. This was because the real primordial world could only be entered after reaching the mortal evolution state. Once one entered, they would only have 10 lives. After 10 lives, they would be completely dead, whether it was in the game or in reality. Unless one's power kept increasing, only then could the upper limit of death increase. The real primordial world was very dangerous. There were powerful beings everywhere. Although the game world was a novice zone, it was also a place to build a foundation. The stronger the foundation, the faster one would rise in the primordial world. Although it was a novice zone, there were still many good things here. For example, Yi Chen's Godslayer was a primordial spirit treasure. There were also many spirit herbs here. However, spirit herbs weren't so easy to get. Each one was guarded by all sorts of ferocious guardian beasts, and it was very easy to be targeted by various forces. For example, the red fruit on the mountain where Yi Chen killed the blue-eyed Tiger King and the Blackwater mystical snake. That was a spirit herb. The Tiger King and the Blackwater mystical snake were targeting it. Their goal was to eat it and evolve. However, the conditions at that time didn't allow Yi Chen to take the Crimson Sun fruit for himself. He could only use it as bait and throw it out. If Yi Chen fought alone in the novice zone, no matter how strong he was, he wouldn't be able to surpass the mortal evolution state. He could kill 100, 1,000, or even 10,000 people. But what about 100,000? A million? And this was just the humans. Don't forget, there were still the shamans and demons. They were also very obsessed with spiritual herbs. Therefore, not only did Yi Chen have to become stronger, but he also had to have his own forces that could crush everything. Only in this way could Yi Chen obtain enough benefits, whether it was in the beginner's zone or in the real great desolate world. That was why Yi Chen was so excited when he found out that Zhao Yu was Zhao Yun's sister. That was a top-notch historical general. There was no doubt that he was at the innate realm. When Zhao Yu saw Yi Chen's excited expression, she couldn't help but ask, "My lord, you know my brother?" "Of course not. However, I have heard from others that your elder brother, Zhao Yun, is an extraordinary person." Yi Chen regained his senses, laughed a few times and then said seriously, "Ding. Zhao Yu's favorability plus 10. Yi Chen was slightly surprised, then smiled. He looked at Zhao Meng and said, "Meng Zi, I have a mission for you. As my lord commands, your subordinate will complete it with his life. Zhao Meng stood up straight and shouted loudly. Good. Yi Chen laughed and then said, within 2 hours, build 2 thatched cottages. Can you do it? Zhao Meng was stunned. He didn't expect that the mission Yi Chen gave him wasn't to kill the beasts near the reincarnation village, but to clear out the bandits. Zhao Yu couldn't help but laugh. However, she quickly covered her mouth and pretended that nothing had happened. What are you laughing at? Calm down. There won't be any beasts or bandits here for a while. Yi Chen glared at Zhao Meng and then said, Yes, my lord. Zhao Meng was stunned again and then replied in low spirit. When Yi Chen saw Zhao Meng's appearance, he shook his head helplessly and waved his right hand. The mountain-like corpse of the blue-eyed Tiger King appeared on the ground beside them. This is... The moment Zhao Meng saw the blue-eyed Tiger King appear, he couldn't help but take a few steps back. He was frightened. Zhao Meng instantly stood in front of Yi Chen. However, in the next second Zhao Meng's face froze. How embarrassing! The tiger was dead. If I'm not wrong, this is the blue-eyed Tiger King? Zhao Yu looked at Yi Chen with surprise and then asked. That's right. It is indeed the blue-eyed Tiger King. Yi Chen nodded and smiled. Can you give me the tiger bones, my lord? My lord? Zhao Yu's eyes lit up when she received a definite answer. No problem. I'll give you whatever you need. As long as I have it, Yi Chen said without hesitation. Thank you, my lord. With this, I'll almost become a grandmaster. Zhao Yu said excitedly. Ding. Zhao Yu's favorability plus 10. Chapter 11. Yi Chen didn't expect this to increase favorability. The favorability attribute was something that only females had. If Zhao Yu's favorability towards Yi Chen reached 100, then no matter what Yi Chen did to Zhao Yu wouldn't refuse. She would even feel sweet about it. It was a bit exaggerated, but it was the truth. If it really reached 100, even if Yi Chen said to Zhao Yu, sleep with me, but I won't marry you, Zhao Yu wouldn't refuse. Yi Chen certainly wouldn't be so frustrated. He slept with her and didn't want her. But he still had to increase the favorability. After all, Zhao Yu had a brother called Zhao Yun. Of course, Zhao Yu was also very beautiful. Otherwise, Yi Chen wouldn't have thought of this. Yi Chen waved his right hand and the Blackwater mystical snake's body appeared on the side. See if it's useful. If it's useful, take it. Yi Chen said with great satisfaction. It's useful, it's useful. Zhao Yu was stunned at first, then nodded in ecstasy. Ding. Zhao Yu's favorability plus 10. Gulp. Zhao Heng swallowed his saliva heavily, then bowed and said with great excitement, I'm sorry. Congratulations, my lord. Since the blue-eyed Tiger King and the Blackwater mystical snake have been killed, the reincarnation village will be stable for at least a week. We won't have to worry about wild beasts or bandits. Yi Chen smiled and nodded. Yi Chen knew what Zhao Heng meant by stable for at least a week. In his previous life, when humans built villages, they were all attacked by wild beasts and bandits. Many villages were directly destroyed. In a place like this with a wasteland boss, these two situations wouldn't happen anytime soon. Only after the auras of the blue-eyed Tiger King and the Blackwater mystical snake had completely disappeared would wild beasts and bandits appear. However, even if they appeared now, Yi Chen was not worried. This was because the reincarnation village had Zhao Meng, who had a combat value of 93 points. Bandits and robbers were nothing but fleeting clouds. What are you waiting for? Go and build a house. Do you really think that the Lord told you to build a house in the future? That's to recruit refugees as soon as possible. Zhao Heng found a chance to kick Zhao Meng and scolded him. I'll go right away, right away. Zhao Meng was stunned for a moment, then suddenly became overjoyed. After saying that, he hurriedly went to work. Zhao Meng's strength was not to be underestimated. The speed at which he built the hut was extremely fast. Although Zhao Heng was not young, he was still very energetic. Soon, 2 thatched cottages that could house 10 people were built. As for Yi Chen, he went straight to the largest house. This was a thatched house with 2 rooms and 1 living room. It was exclusive to Yi Chen. In the living room, there was a golden stone tablet that stood there, shining with golden light. This was the core of the reincarnation village. If it was destroyed, the reincarnation village would be declared destroyed. Coming to the side of the stone tablet, the reincarnation village's stats instantly appeared in front of Yi Chen. Reincarnation village, God rank level 1 village basic stats. Territory stability plus 60, territory residence satisfaction plus 60, territory resources plus 500%, territory agricultural output plus 500%, territory fishing output plus 500%, territory residence attraction to refugees plus 300%, territory residence qualification plus 2. Special feature 1. Holy Land territory residence, comprehension increases by 50%. Special feature 2. Blessed Land, a random grade of elixir will appear every month. Special feature 3. Fate, automatically gathers the fate of heaven and earth, increases the cultivation speed of the territory residence, increases the comprehension of the territory residence, increases with the territory's size. Special feature 4. Ascension, gathers the fate of heaven and earth, dominates 10,000 worlds, allows the entire country to ascend to the wilderness. Territory resources stone, 100 wood, 100 iron, 0 food, 100 money, 0-inch hiss. Yi Chen suddenly sucked in a breath of cold air. God rank village creation token. Yi Chen already knew that it was powerful, knew that it was against the heavens. But Yi Chen never thought that the God rank village creation token would be so powerful to this extent. Territory stability and resident satisfaction, these 2 points restricted many people's towns from upgrading to cities. Because to upgrade from a town to a city, these 2 stats must reach 60. For the reincarnation village, this was not a restriction at all. No matter how bad Yi Chen's management was, the stability and satisfaction would never be lower than 60. The stats of the reincarnation village were each stronger than the previous. If a territory wanted to develop, it needed resources and people. In his previous life, there were people who used the Golden Village Creation Token, but the highest increase was only 50%. In the Reincarnation Village, the resources were 5 times more, and the attraction of refugees was 3 times more. These 2 added together was not as simple as 1 plus 1. At this moment, the smart brain Pangu still had not opened credit and game currency exchange. In reality, even if you had money, it was useless because you could not buy anything. This also restricted everyone's development. In the Reincarnation Village, although it was also a restriction, but do not forget it had a foundation that made people jealous. Moreover, Yi Chen had 150,000 gold. And the Reincarnation Village's characteristics were even more perverted and abnormal. Increasing comprehension meant that everyone in the Reincarnation Village was destined to have a much easier time than other villages. Moreover, there was a terrifying hidden attribute, which greatly increased the attraction of talents. Even generals and civil officials were no exception. Not to mention the Blessed Land. Although there was only 1 spiritual herb per month, it was a spiritual herb, not a cabbage. It was an existence that could help in advancing to the innate stage. For Yi Chen, the more spiritual herbs, the better. And luck, although it did not seem like much, once Yi Chen began to fight for hegemony, the more territories he conquered, the more luck the Reincarnation Village would gather. This would increase everyone's cultivation speed, and their comprehension would also increase. The essence of this game was to become stronger. Therefore, although luck did not seem like much, it was actually heaven-defying, and it was so heaven-defying that it made people's hair stand on end. And the last characteristic was simply a supplement to the third characteristic. Originally, Yi Chen planned to train a group of subordinates and bring them into the real chaos world. After all, it was too dangerous there. After dying 10 times, they would be completely dead. And the appearance of the fourth characteristic gave Yi Chen a possibility. He could bring all his subordinates into the chaos world. Chapter 12. Phew! Yi Chen looked at the golden tablet and let out a long sigh. I didn't expect the god-level village creation token to be so powerful. After a moment of silence, Yi Chen pointed at the tablet. The huge golden stone tablet slowly sank into the ground and then disappeared. My lord, great news, great news! Zhao Heng's ecstatic voice suddenly came from outside. Yi Chen paused for a moment, then turned to look at Zhao Heng, who had just arrived at the door. My lord, the reincarnation village has 60 new villagers. Zhao Heng bowed and said excitedly. 60. Yi Chen paused for a moment, then smiled. The reincarnation village's property was to increase the number of refugees by 3 times. Every village attracted different numbers of refugees. The lowest number was 3, and the highest number was 20. For the reincarnation village, the highest number was 20, and then it tripled to 60. The development of a territory not only required resources, but also people. The more people there were, the faster everything could be done. Is there anyone with a skill here? Yi Chen looked at the refugees who were looking at the Obsidian Tiger King and Blackwater Mystical Snake in shock, then looked at Zhao Heng and asked, Yes, my lord. There is an advanced wine brewer, an advanced blacksmith, an intermediate shipbuilder, and an intermediate beast tamer. Zhao Heng said excitedly. If a territory wanted to develop, it needed people with skills other than people. Take blacksmiths for example. Without blacksmiths, there was no way to make weapons and armor. If you wanted to get them, you had to buy them. During peacetime, you might be able to buy them, but you definitely couldn't buy advanced weapons and armor. During wartime, you couldn't even buy them, not even the worst ones. In short, to do a good job, you must first sharpen your tools. Without a good foundation, you would be restricted everywhere. Yi Chen didn't want to be like that. Let's go and see them. Yi Chen's eyes lit up when he heard this. He then walked towards the refugees. The refugees were all wearing clothes with dozens of patches. Some of them didn't even have clothes to cover their bodies. There were only 2 people who were dressed decently. One was a middle-aged woman, and the other was a middle-aged man with a dark complexion and bulging muscles. This is the village chief of our reincarnation village. He is also your lord. Zhao Heng hurriedly shouted at the refugees when Yi Chen stopped. Greetings, my lord. When the refugees heard this, their suspicions about who Yi Chen was disappeared in an instant. All of them hurriedly bowed to pay their respects. Yi Chen smiled and nodded, then said, Don't be so restrained. I'm not a man-eating tiger. As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, the refugees immediately felt a lot more relaxed. At first, they were worried that Yi Chen wouldn't like them and would chase them away. But now, it seemed that the young lord in front of them was not that difficult to talk to, and probably would not drive them away. Otherwise, he would not talk to them so amiably. Looking at the excited refugees, Yi Chen smiled and said, From today onwards, you are all from the reincarnation village. From today onwards, you are officially a member of the reincarnation village. No matter what you did in the past, you are now a member of the reincarnation village. Here, you will start a new life, and it will only get better and better. Thank you, my lord. When the refugees heard this, they immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Then, they shouted excitedly. Yi Chen nodded, then looked at Zhao Heng. Seeing this, Zhao Heng hurriedly went forward and called the advanced wine brewer, advanced blacksmith, intermediate shipbuilder, and intermediate beast tamer over. Yi Chen said a few words one after another, making the 4 of them very excited. This was because Yi Chen was a lord and they were villagers. Yi Chen speaking to them alone meant that he valued them. How could they not be excited? Among the ranks of scholars, farmers, craftsmen, and craftsmen, workers were ranked 3rd. They were all workers, so how high could their status be? Of course, Yi Chen valued craftsmen, but others also valued craftsmen. It was just that there were some who valued craftsmen highly and some who did not. In fact, there were not many people who valued craftsmen the most. Old Zhao, go and assign tasks. Those who are supposed to cut wood, and those who are supposed to farm, farm. Oh right, build the market first. I need it, then build the medical center and blacksmith shop. Yi Chen looked at Zhao Heng and ordered. There were 3 places in a level 3 or 4 village that did not require blueprint. Yi Chen did not hesitate to choose the market, medical center, and blacksmith shop. The market was a place for trading. Of course, it was different from the real ancient times. The market here had a hint of advanced technology. If he bought it, he would be able to get it immediately. It would only take a moment. Yes, my lord. Zhao Heng bowed and answered. Then, he led the refugees to the side and began to assign tasks. My lord, the blue-eyed tiger king and the blackwater mystical snake are too difficult to dissect. Zhao Meng came to Yi Chen's side and said with a conflicted expression. After Zhao Meng finished building the 2 huts, he ran to clean up the 2 huge beast carcasses. In the end, his ghost head knife was ineffective. It could not even cut through the skin. When Yi Chen heard this, he could not help but smile. He turned his head and saw Zhao Yu beside the 2 huge beast carcasses. Looking at Zhao Yu's expectant gaze, Yi Chen said without hesitation, "Let's go." After that, he went straight to Zhao Yu's side. "Did you wait for too long?" Yi Chen asked with a smile. "Yes." Zhao Yu's face turned red for no reason. "Then," she answered in a low voice. "Watch me," Yi Chen said in a domineering manner. He waved his right hand and the God Slayer appeared instantly. The spear pierced towards the blue-eyed Tiger King. There was a screeching sound. The God Slayer effortlessly pierced through the blue-eyed Tiger King's stomach. "Eh!" Zhao Meng exclaimed in surprise. He instantly came to the side of the blue-eyed Tiger King's stomach and put his right ear to it. "Meng Zi?" Yi Chen asked with a puzzled expression. "Congratulations, my lord. If I didn't hear wrong, there should be a tiger cub in the blue-eyed Tiger King's stomach." Zhao Meng looked at Yi Chen in surprise and bowed. "What?" Yi Chen was stunned when he heard this. In the next second, his face froze. "Damn, the blue-eyed Tiger King's tiger cub. Holy shit. Don't stab it to death." Chapter 13. The blue-eyed Tiger King was a level 100 boss in the wilderness, and it was a spiritual beast. Its offspring would definitely be spiritual beasts as well, and their potential wouldn't be too bad. Spiritual beasts were a part of the shifter race, but they were special. They could be tamed by humans, and once they recognized a master, they would never betray them. The shifter race was different. It was basically impossible to tame them, regardless of whether they were adults or newborn. Adult spiritual beasts couldn't recognize a master, but newborn spiritual beasts could. This was why Yi Chen was worried about stabbing the tiger cub to death. In his previous life, there weren't many people who got spiritual beasts, because the success rate was too low. However, there were still people who got spiritual beasts. Those who had spiritual beasts could all summon them in the real world without exception. And the spiritual beasts they summoned weren't weakened at all. With spiritual beasts in the real world, one's safety was greatly increased. Therefore, the price of spiritual beasts was as high as the sky. Even the trashiest spiritual beast could be sold for 1 billion credit. Now, there was a spiritual beast in front of Yi Chen, and it was the blue-eyed Tiger King's spiritual beast. How could Yi Chen not be tempted? Yi Chen hurriedly cut open the Tiger King's belly, carefully pulled open the tiger's skin, and then touched the Tiger King's belly. Soon, an ugly little tiger cub was carried out by Yi Chen. "Oh whoa!" The moment the little tiger came out, it started to cry. Yi Chen hurriedly checked it, and after a while, he let out a sigh of relief. The God-Slayer didn't stab the little tiger. It must be hungry. Thinking of this, Yi Chen looked at Zhao Meng and hurriedly ordered, "Meng Zi, go and catch some female goats to feed this little guy, Before Yi Chen could finish his words, he suddenly stopped. It wasn't because someone interrupted him, but because Yi Chen remembered something. Within 100 miles of the reincarnation village, not even a mouse could appear. This situation would continue until the blue-eyed Tiger King and the Blackwater mystical snake's presence disappeared. My lord, spirit beasts aren't that difficult to raise. Although it has just been born, it can still eat meat, Zhao Yu said. It can eat meat? Yi Chen was stunned for a moment, then he was overjoyed. He bit his index finger and dripped a drop of blood into the little tiger's mouth. Of course, this was not Yi Chen feeding the little tiger with his own blood, but asking it to recognize him as its master. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chen for obtaining the S-Class Spirit Beast, Flaming Tiger. Yenhu, S-Class Spirit Beast, can grow. When Yi Chen saw this, his eyes lit up. It wasn't because of S-Class, but because of the 3 words at the end. Growth potential. This was an extremely special attribute. It represented limitless possibilities. Even becoming a divine beast was not impossible. Yenhu, S-Class Spirit Beast, can grow. Skills: 1 Fireball, 2 Prairie Fire, 3 Tiger Roar, 4 Sealed, 5 Sealed. Owner: Yi Chen. This skill. Who was this little guy's father? Could it be a white tiger? How could it be even more awesome than its mother, the aquamarine white tiger? After Yi Chen saw all of Yenhu's attributes, he was stunned and looked at Yenhu in disbelief. At this moment, Yenhu had already opened its 2 cute tiger eyes. It then intimately rubbed its little head against Yi Chen's arm. At this moment, Yi Chen was touched. After a moment of silence, Yi Chen looked at Zhao Yu and said apologetically, "I'm going to prepare the corpse of the blue-eyed Tiger King and find a place to bury it. My lord, you are a good person." Zhao Yu did not ask Yi Chen to continue. She smiled sweetly and said. After saying this, she came to Yi Chen's side and reported Yenhu to him. Ding! Zhao Yu's favorability +10. Yi Chen was slightly stunned and then nodded. He came to the side of the blue-eyed Tiger King and patted it with his right hand. The huge corpse of the blue-eyed Tiger King was instantly put into the spatial package that every player would receive. "My lord, let me dig a hole," Zhao Heng said. Yi Chen did not say anything and walked away. Woo 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 woo. The little tiger suddenly choked, as if it had discovered something. Zhao Yu gently patted the little tiger's head. Only then did the little tiger calm down. However, its eyes were still staring at the direction Yi Chen left. The blue-eyed Tiger King's body was a treasure. Not only could it increase its strength, it could also make all kinds of top-grade medicine. However, Yi Chen still chose to give up. Some things could be done, some things could not. Yi Chen had his own bottom line. Since Yenhu had become his spirit beast, Yi Chen could not skin it and eat it. The blue-eyed Tiger King was buried in the valley, in a place with beautiful scenery. Just as Yi Chen stepped into the reincarnation village, a system announcement sounded. Ding! Congratulations to player 3rd Young Master Wang for establishing a second village. Special reward. Sacred Village is the second village in Chaos. Ding! Congratulations to player 2 Beautiful Knight for establishing a third village. Special reward. Beauty Village is the third village in Chaos. Chapter 14. The announcement was repeated over and over again. Yi Chen frowned. In his previous life, the village only appeared on the 3rd day of the game. In this life, it appeared on the 1st day. In his previous life, the second to build the village was the American, and the third was the Japanese. Now, the 2nd and 3rd places belonged to the Z country. Yi Chen did not care about this. What Yi Chen cared about was the deviation in the history that was supposed to appear in this life. The butterfly effect. Yi Chen was silent for a moment, then he let out a long sigh. History had already deviated from its original path the moment Yi Chen was reborn. There was nothing worth thinking about. However, Yi Chen had experience that others did not know about. Even if history deviated, it would not affect Yi Chen. "My lord, the market is ready." Zhao Heng came to Yi Chen's side and bowed. Yi Chen nodded and went straight to the market. Although it was called a market, it was actually an open space surrounded by wooden fences. There was a thatched cottage in the middle. Yi Chen went straight to the thatched cottage and looked at the big screen hanging on the wall. This place was used for trading. The higher the level of the market, the better the items one could buy. At this moment, the items on display in the market were all sold by the natives in the game. The prices were quite high. Yi Chen swiped the big screen with his hand. The items on the screen appeared one after another. Food, 10,000, 1,000 gold coins spent. Stones, 100,000, 5,000 gold coins spent. Wood, 100,000, 10,000 gold coins spent. Iron ore, 10,000, 2,000 gold coins spent. Building blueprints, tavern, tailor's shop, animal pen, private school, grocery store, 1,000 gold coins spent. Yi Chen was about to end this purchase when an item suddenly appeared in Yi Chen's line of sight. City wall, true building blueprint. Consumes resources x 100. Creates a city wall after use. The city wall can change size according to requirements. Requires corresponding resources. After the city wall is completed, it will be 5 meters wide and 20 meters tall. Defense grade, B, can be upgraded. There will be 10 automatic arrow towers on each of the 4 city walls. Attack grade, B, can be upgraded. Price, 100,000 gold. After seeing the building blueprint, Yi Chen's eyes suddenly shrank. If other people saw this blueprint, they would definitely curse. This was just a wall design. Yet, Shi Feng actually wanted 100,000 gold for it. He must have gone mad from thinking about money. Also, what the hell was the consumption of resources x 100? However, the one who saw it was Yi Chen, the reborn Yi Chen. Without any hesitation, Yi Chen chose to buy it. Yi Chen spent 100,000 gold to purchase the city wall blueprint, which was originally worth 10,000 gold. Looking at the city wall, real, in his inventory, Yi Chen let out a long sigh. The corners of his mouth curled up as he felt great. At this moment, no one knew better than Yi Chen how valuable a building blueprint with the word real was. This kind of blueprint could only be seen once a month in the market. It could be a city wall, real, or a blacksmith shop, real. No matter which one it was, the price would be 10 times more expensive than the original blueprint. More importantly, once a city wall was purchased, the price would be 10 times higher the next time it appeared. In other words, the next time a city wall, real, appeared, its price would be 1 million gold. And so on. The next time a city wall appeared, it would be 10 million gold. In Shi Feng's previous life, the most valuable item was the city wall, real, blueprint. Every time it appeared, it would definitely attract the envy of countless people. Its highest price had reached 1 billion gold. Then there were the city walls, real. However, even the city walls, real, obtained from killing monsters or conquering territories were never sold for less than 800 million gold. After the artificial intelligence Pangu opened up the exchange system, 1 gold would be 1 credit. One could imagine how frightening the cost of purchasing a city wall, real, would be in the future. Only a small number of people had such financial resources. Those who did not have such financial resources would have to rely on those who had a city wall if they wanted to survive safely in the real world. To be more precise, those who had a city wall, real, and used it in the game. After all, in the real world, there were monsters everywhere that liked to eat people. They especially liked it. In the real world, using a village creation token would automatically deduct 10 times the resources needed. For example, if you had a village creation token, real, and wanted to use it in the real world. Originally, the resources needed in the game were 100 stones and 100 wood. But in the real world, it would require 1,000 stones and 1,000 wood. At that time, you would not need to care about the real world anymore. You would only need to develop your territory in the game. All that was left was to prepare enough resources. Then, as the territory in the game increased in the real world, the territory in the real world would also increase. It was extremely convenient and fast. However, such a territory had an unavoidable flaw. It did not have any functions. To be more precise, it did not have any AI attack, AI defense, or AI production functions. In other words, a territory that only used a village creation token, real, and did not use a city wall, real, did not have the ability to automatically attack monsters that approached the territory. If you wanted to have the ability to attack, you could only rely on manpower. But a territory that used a city wall, real, was completely AI. Any creature that approached the territory would be attacked without exception. Unless the Lord with a city wall, real, added those who did not attack to the whitelist. Otherwise, anyone who approached would be attacked. If it was light, they might be injured or crippled. If it was serious, they would just die. If you wanted to have all kinds of AI functions, you could only use various building blueprints with the word real in the game. And this was the fundamental reason why Yi Chen did not hesitate to buy the city wall, real, after seeing it. If he bought it now, it was only 100,000 gold. In the future, it would be at least 800 million. As for using concrete to build a city wall in the real world, it was just a joke. 3 days later, all the buildings in the world had turned to dust. Not to mention finding cement, even if they found it and built it, the defensive power was just a joke. That kind of city wall could not even withstand the teeth of a mouse. In just a few bites, a big hole would be gnawed out. It was completely useless. Chapter 15. Actually, Yi Chen had never thought that he would actually run into the city wall. In his previous life, the first person who bought this building blueprint was an idiot. He spent money without saying anything and challenged him to a duel without hesitation. He bought it a week after the game started, when the AI Pengu opened the exchange service. At that time, that person seemed to want to show off his strength in front of a beautiful woman. He immediately spent 100,000 gold to buy the blueprint. Yi Chen didn't know the details. He only heard about it from others. Furthermore, most of the people who knew about this news were gnashing their teeth in anger and envy. After all, how could they not be jealous of someone who spent 100,000 gold to buy something that could be sold for at least 800 million gold? At least, most people were. But in this life, the first person to eat the crab was Yi Chen. Yi Chen didn't have much money in real life, but the richest person in the game was Yi Chen. He had 150,000 gold. Of course, he could afford it. Even if he spent 119,000 gold, he still had 31,000 gold. Other people only had a few silvers or gold. How could they compare to Yi Chen? Yi Chen, 3rd Baron level, 50 reputation, 150,000 increases the attractiveness of historical figures. Merit, 150,000, the standard for promotion is 100,000 merit points for a 3rd Baron. Strength, 80 bone structure, 80 spirit, 100 luck, hidden skills, 9 revolutions mysterious art, divine night lightning technique equipment, none money. 31,000 gold because of the real discovery of the city wall. Yi Chen purposely searched the market. Unfortunately, there was nothing good. Yi Chen simply left the market. As for the restriction of the city wall, it wasn't too big, but it wasn't too small either. Reincarnation Village couldn't use it now. At least, it could only be used when Reincarnation Village was upgraded to Reincarnation City. Yi Chen bought so many materials at once to quickly upgrade Reincarnation Village's level. This was good. 2 birds with 1 stone. Yi Chen went outside and found Zhao Heng. He handed over the blueprints and resources to Zhao Heng so that he could assign manpower to the construction of the various buildings. Zhao Heng was indeed very experienced in doing things. Not only did he complete Yi Chen's orders, but he also sent people to scout the surrounding area for resources. After Zhao Heng finished assigning manpower, he went to Yi Chen, bowed, and reported, "My lord, there are 5 mines that have already been identified. Among them, the highest daily output is 100,000, and the lowest is 50,000. As for wood and stone, there are abundant reserves here, and we can use them locally. The highest daily output is 100,000, but we don't have enough manpower. Not bad. I'll leave the reincarnation village to you. I'm relieved. I'll need your help in the future. Yi Chen nodded his head in satisfaction after hearing the amount. The reserves were really abundant. One had to know that other people's territories, not to mention whether or not they had iron mines, even if they had iron mines, the production would only be 10 to 20,000 per day. Although all kinds of resources could be bought, sometimes it was impossible to buy even if one wanted to, especially iron ores. Therefore, no one would complain about the production of resources in their own territory. This subordinate is willing to sacrifice his life for my lord, Zhao Heng said excitedly as he bowed. By the way, how are the aptitudes of the refugees? Yi Chen smiled and nodded his head, then asked. My lord, the aptitudes of the refugees are mostly average. Most of them are F class, but because of the reincarnation village, they have reached C class. No matter what they do, they can learn it. Moreover, if they become soldiers, they will definitely be stronger than other villages. Zhao Heng said excitedly. This excitement was unavoidable because Zhao Heng also benefited from it. The attributes of the reincarnation village were too heaven-defying. After joining the reincarnation village, their aptitudes increased by 2 ranks. In Zhao Heng's eyes, this was simply a miracle. Yi Chen naturally knew this and was very happy. However, the time to be excited had passed. After thinking for a moment, Yi Chen said, Tell Zhao Meng that he can choose the villagers to become soldiers. However, there is a prerequisite. That is, they must be at least A class. Yi Chen's meaning was very simple and also very rough. That is, the soldiers of the reincarnation village must be at least A or B rank, and the lowest rank must be at least A. Simply put, before the refugees entered the reincarnation village, they must be at least C class. Only then would they be chosen to become soldiers. If Yi Chen's decision was known by others, it would definitely shock a lot of people. At this moment, there were not many people establishing villages. Of course, there would be more soon. After all, the village creation order was no longer a secret. However, there was one thing that no one could change. That was the aptitudes of the refugees in the territory. Most of them were F class. There were very few C class and occasionally B class. In other words, if an army was established in other territories, then the soldiers' levels were basically F class. Even if someone was ruthless and imitated Yi Chen, the highest level they could get was C class. But in the reincarnation village, because of the territory's attributes, the soldiers in the army were all a class. These soldiers were 2 ranks higher. Who was strong and who was weak could be seen at a glance. Yes, my lord. Zhao Heng was slightly stunned. Then, his eyes lit up and he bowed in response. However, he thought of something and hurriedly said, My lord, this army camp blueprint. Chapter 16. You don't have to worry about that. The market hasn't released it yet. Once it's released, I'll just buy it. Yi Chen waved his hand and a pile of gold coins appeared on the ground. Zhao Heng was stunned. He didn't expect Yi Chen to take out so many gold coins. Here's 20,000 gold coins. Take a look and see if there's anything missing. Once it's released in the market, buy it. If there's a building blueprint with the word real or something else, buy it all. If you don't have enough money, inform me immediately. Yi Chen pointed at the gold coins on the ground and ordered. Yes, my lord. Zhao Heng heard this and hurriedly bowed. All right, I'll leave the construction of Reincarnation Village to you. I need to leave for a while. Yi Chen nodded and said, Farewell, my lord. Zhao Heng bowed and said. Yi Chen nodded and then went outside Reincarnation Village. He dissected the Blackwater mystical snake and left Yanhu in Zhao Yu's care. Originally, Yanhu couldn't get close to anyone other than Yi Chen. However, Zhao Yu seemed to have a special innate charm. Yanhu actually didn't resist Zhao Yu. This saved Yi Chen a lot of trouble. After giving instructions, Yi Chen returned to the village chief's mansion. He then closed the door and left the game. In the game world, 3 days was equivalent to 1 day in the real world. Yi Chen had already stayed in the game for a day. In the real world, 8 hours had passed. If he didn't go offline to satisfy his physiological needs, his body would have problems. A wave of dizziness came and Yi Chen opened his eyes in the diamond gaming chamber. The feeling of being in a different world flashed by. This was the natural reaction to leaving the game. Ding! The diamond gaming chamber door opened as Yi Chen got up. After Yi Chen left the gaming chamber, he twisted his waist and stretched his neck. Crunch, crunch. Several sounds came. A comfortable feeling instantly came. Clenching his fist and feeling the explosive power in his body, Yi Chen's eyes flashed. Normal people's starting strength was 10. Very few people could reach around 20. But Yi Chen's strength reached 80. The star orb's function was to synchronize the game with reality. At this moment, Yi Chen could declare without hesitation that he was the man standing at the top of the world. Of course, Yi Chen wouldn't do that. Moreover, this was only temporary. If he wanted to continue standing at the top, he could only continue to grow stronger and stronger until all living beings trembled in fear. At that time, Yi Chen was truly tyrannical. Yi Chen opened the curtains and let the sunlight from the outside enter the room. There were towering giants tall trees. On the grounds a tall grasses teet outside the tall tt 8 of tt of the tt the tt of tt to t the tt that until the start until this until it until now. And touch here touching tt's here touched. There were also people whose faces were filled with fear. The world had changed too much, so much so that their fragile nerves couldn't bear it. Some of them were carrying kitchen knives, sticks, and other things to check carefully. The unknown represented mystery and danger. Yi Chen didn't show any expression as he looked out the window. Only his eyes shone brightly, as if he had seen through everything. It wouldn't be long before this temporary peace would be broken. Because of the failure of gunpowder, because of the madness caused by the unknown, and because of the fear of death, because the demon race was about to rise, and also because of the human race. Yi Chen never thought of himself as a good person. Even though Yi Chen had a god-level village creation token, and his territory had the luck attribute, the bigger the territory, the more luck of heaven and earth it gathered, and the faster the cultivation speed, Yi Chen had changed his mind. He was determined to become an emperor, sweep the world, and ascend to the primordial world. Even so, Yi Chen didn't intend to save anyone. Yi Chen knew it wasn't necessary. In the real world, there was too much deception, too many schemes, and too many betrayals. Sometimes, Yi Chen preferred the NPCs in the game. At least, they didn't have too many dirty tricks. It's time to eat something. I need to stock up on food as soon as possible. This is only the first day. There are still 3 months and 2 days before Wisdom Pengu starts to provide daily necessities and can be bought with credits. I estimate that in a few hours people will start to go crazy. Because of food, because of the demons in their hearts. Thinking of this, Yi Chen let out a long breath. Then he came to the side of the diamond game pod and pressed it with his right hand. After a flash of starlight, the diamond game pod disappeared, and on Yi Chen's finger, there was a diamond ring. This was the function of the game pod. It could be turned into a ring and taken away at any time. However, there was one bad thing about the game pod. No matter who got it, they could use it. In his previous life, there were countless killings because of the game pod. Blood dyed the rivers red, and bones were spread across the wilderness. And the reason was that no matter what grade the game pod was, it could increase one's strength better. The greed, and desire in people's hearts were completely drawn out. Yi Chen took a deep breath and exhaled deeply. Then, he left the room. As soon as he opened the door, he heard a scream. "Get lost, or I'll call the police." Chapter 17. Yi Chen was slightly taken aback. The voice sounded familiar. Yi Chen saw the back of a woman in a white dress the moment he stepped out of the room. Her body was trembling violently as she retreated step by step. She felt lost, helpless, afraid, and nervous. Not far away, two young men in black suits and sunglasses were approaching the woman. Judging from their attire, it was not hard to tell that they were bodyguards or something like that. "Call the police?" "Go ahead and call the police. Let's see if it works." "Ha!" One of them laughed maniacally. At that moment, the other man frowned when he saw Yi Chen suddenly coming out of the room. The two men stopped in their tracks and the corridor fell silent. The woman was relieved when she saw that the two men had stopped. One of the two men said coldly, "Get lost, or I'll kill you." The woman jumped in fright. Although she did not understand, she quickly nodded and said, "I'll leave now. I'll leave now." "Damn it, I'm not talking to you!" one of them shouted angrily. The familiar voice was heard again. Although Yi Chen did not see the woman's face, he was certain of her identity. She was ranked second among the top 10 campus belles of XX Academy. She was Yi Chen's female classmate in the same major and class. She was even prettier than the female celebrities, and had an elegant aura. What was she doing here? Was she booking a room? Yi Chen could not help but frown when he thought of this. In Yi Chen's memory, Hu Xiaoye was a well-bred lady from a scholarly family. However, that did not seem to be the case now. Was the filth hidden under the beautiful facade? If this was his previous life, Yi Chen, who had not experienced the primeval times, would definitely be jealous. After all, she was the campus belle, yet she was booking a room. However, Yi Chen was reborn and naturally did not feel anything. He only felt that it was a pity that such a beautiful thing had been tainted. Hu Xiaoye also noticed the abnormality at that moment. She turned around and was stunned. "Yi Chen?" Hu Xiaoye exclaimed in surprise. Of course, she knew Yi Chen. Although Yi Chen often slept in class and wore clothes that had been washed too many times, she still recognized Yi Chen. Because she was the class monitor. Motherf ****, this bastard knows this woman. An angry curse was heard, followed by a loud shout. "Cripple him!" Two young men rushed towards Yi Chen. One of them even took out a dagger. "Yi Chen, run!" Hu Xiaoye screamed in fright. As she screamed, she ran towards Yi Chen. When she reached Yi Chen, she was about to pull Yi Chen along with her. Yi Chen looked at Hu Xiaoye with some surprise. He did not expect that Hu Xiaoye would not abandon him. She even took him with her to escape. Hu Xiaoye suddenly stopped in her tracks because she did not manage to pull Yi Chen away. "Run! They will kill us!" Hu Xiaoye screamed as she continued to pull Yi Chen. However, Yi Chen pulled his hand out of Hu Xiaoye's grasp. He glanced at Hu Xiaoye, then looked expressionlessly at the two young men who were about to reach him. Motherf ****, die! A loud shout was heard. The man who ran the fastest was provoked by Yi Chen's contemptuous gaze. He did not hesitate to stab his dagger at Yi Chen's heart. "No!" Hu Xiaoye screamed again. Yi Chen frowned, then grabbed the man's hand that was holding the dagger. "Let go!" The man was stunned, then he shouted angrily. Yi Chen looked at the man in front of him, as if he was looking at an idiot. He also looked at the man who was stunned and stopped in his tracks. That man did not expect that such a swift stab would be caught so easily by Yi Chen. One had to know that they were all bodyguards who had undergone cruel training. "You motherf ****. The man twitched violently. However, he was stunned. Yi Chen's hand was like an iron hoop, not moving at all. At this moment, the man's face suddenly flushed red. A scream was heard. The one who screamed was not Yi Chen or Hu Xiaoye, but the man whose right hand was caught by Yi Chen. Crack, crack. Several sounds were heard. Yi Chen let go of his right hand. The man's hand, which was fine, was squeezed together. His 5 fingers were twisted like fried dough twists. Ouch! A shrill scream came out of his mouth. It was tragic. At this moment, Yi Chen suddenly moved and punched the man's stomach. Bang! A loud sound was heard. The man howled miserably, as if he had hit a speeding car, and was sent flying backward. He flew for 7 or 8 meters before he fell heavily to the ground. Then, there was no sound. Gulp! A sound was heard. The man who was still standing swallowed hard. Big brother. We were wrong. We were wrong. Please forgive us. He knelt on the ground without hesitation and kowtowed to beg for mercy. He had no choice but to beg for mercy. He could easily kill 7 or 8 people by himself. The man who was knocked down by Yi Chen with one punch was even fiercer. 20 or 30 ordinary people couldn't even get close to him. But that man was like king chicken in Yi Chen's hands. He was crippled with one punch. How could he have the courage to face such a person? Yi Chen arrived in front of the man in a few steps. Then, he kicked him expressionlessly. Bang! A loud sound was heard. The man who was kneeling on the ground was instantly kicked back. He fell heavily to the ground and didn't make a sound. Yi Chen glanced at Hu Xiaoye and shook his head regretfully. Then, he walked into the elevator and left the hotel. Hu Xiaoye didn't come to her senses until Yi Chen left. Then, she remembered something. Her little face suddenly turned red with anger. She screamed, "Yi Chen! You bastard! I'm not that kind of person!" Chapter 18. Yi Chen had already reached the first floor. Naturally, he couldn't hear what Hu Xiaoye was saying. There was no one at the front desk of the hotel. The whole world was like a dream, and it had turned upside down in one night. It would be strange if they still completed their duties at the front desk. At the entrance of the 5-star hotel, weeds as tall as a man appeared in front of Yi Chen. Yi Chen didn't find this change strange at all. He wasn't on guard either. At this moment, those beasts, insects, and birds weren't that powerful. Although they were constantly getting stronger and they were improving faster than humans. Yi Chen wasn't worried, because Yi Chen was stronger. He walked out of the door. Based on his memory from last night, Yi Chen found the bicycle, scanned the QR code, unlocked it, and pushed it onto the road. In the whole city, only the road didn't have weeds, so it was still possible to ride a bicycle. However, in 2 more days, this road would be torn apart by the weeds and disappear without a trace. There were cars lying around everywhere on the road. These cars had already been scrapped and were blocking the road in a disorderly manner. However, this wasn't a problem for Yi Chen. All the buildings in the whole city were covered with thick creepers. Even the street lamps, billboards, and power lines were no exception. They were all covered with creepers. Dilapidated, desolate, and full of vitality. The contradiction appeared in everyone's heart from time to time. Of course, it was more of panic, because no one knew why it had become like this. The world had changed. It had changed too much. The road signs had disappeared. There were weeds as tall as a man on both sides of the road. If one wasn't familiar with the city, they wouldn't be able to find their destination. However, this wasn't difficult for Yi Chen. Before long, Yi Chen rode his bicycle to the entrance of a large supermarket. At this moment, the supermarket hadn't been looted yet. Because the world had changed, everything was so strange. No one dared to risk their lives. They could only stay at home and wait in fear. Waiting for possible rescue, waiting for possible explanations, waiting for unforeseen guesses. It was like this in his previous life, and it was the same in this life. Looking at the supermarket in front of him, Yi Chen didn't feel anything. If it were someone else, they would definitely grab and snatch like crazy. However, Yi Chen wouldn't do that. Yi Chen wasn't prepared to steal or rob anything. This was because Yi Chen knew that at this moment, the entire world was under the control of Pangu. No matter how much one took or robbed, the corresponding amount of credits would be deducted from one's name and paid to the supermarket's owner. If you don't have enough credits, you can take it. However, in the game, the gold coins you earned would be automatically deducted until you paid off all your debts. In his previous life, there were many people who didn't know about this and crazily hoarded food. If they had enough money, then so be it. But if they didn't have enough money, then they would have a hard time in the game. More seriously, you might have taken a lot of food, but it would become someone else's wedding dress. This kind of thing happened all the time, and Pangu didn't care about it. To put it simply, from the moment the meteor fell, human laws had lost their deterrent effect. It was also at that moment that the ancient law of the world was restored, the law of the jungle. The supermarket's door was closed, and it was even locked. Yi Chen naturally wouldn't wait for the supermarket's staff to open the door. With a wave of his right hand, the dark and thick god-slayer with a violent aura appeared instantly. Wu Yi Chen casually stabbed the lock on the supermarket's door. In an instant, the lock on the supermarket's door was pierced by the god-slayer and then shattered into pieces. After retrieving the god-slayer, Yi Chen pushed the door open and entered the supermarket. Although Yi Chen wasn't afraid of others seeing him holding the god-slayer, he also knew that it was better to avoid unnecessary trouble. After entering the supermarket, Yi Chen went straight to the food section. 99 bags of rice, 99 barrels of water, 99 bags of salt. These things, Yi Chen clapped his right hand and one by one, disappeared into thin air. This was an ability that everyone had, storage. Just like in the game, there were also 10 bags in reality. Each bag could only contain one item, and the maximum number was 99. Soon, someone would discover this, and Yi Chen, who had been reborn, already knew this secret. The difference between the game and the game was that in the game, the items in the bag might randomly drop out, but in reality, everything would drop out. Because of this, not long after, there was a group of people who specialized in exploding people's bag. No matter what era it was, there would always be a group of people who wanted to reap without sowing. Yi Chen took some seasonings, some vegetables, some eggs, and then left the supermarket. Of course, the cost of these things was automatically deducted from Yi Chen's account when Yi Chen kept them in his bag. As for the meat, Yi Chen didn't plan to take it. If they wanted to eat meat, they could go out and hunt some game. That meat was more nutritious than the meat in the supermarket now. When Yi Chen arrived outside the supermarket, the originally quiet city started to become noisy. There were always people who were brave. When wave after wave of people ascertained that there was no danger in the bushes, they started to call for their friends. Looking at the waves of people on the street, Yi Chen sighed. Violence was about to begin. Chapter 19. Yi Chen rode his bicycle towards the 5-star hotel. Along the way, he would see groups of 3 to 5 people. They were all holding weapons in their hands, such as kitchen knives, baseball bats, and the like. Occasionally, there would be a group of people holding machetes. These people were basically gangsters. Cars could not be driven. The roads were blocked. Even if the roads were clear, cars could not be used. The laws of heaven and earth had changed. Yi Chen rode his bicycle forward. Gradually, the number of people he saw increased. Their purpose was actually food. Food was the most important thing to people. It was like that no matter what era it was. No matter how developed or advanced a society was, food would always be a necessity for people. The world had changed. People were panicking and afraid. Even so, they could not resist the threat of hunger. In this era, especially in the cities, people had long lost the habit of storing food. People bought food and ate it immediately. At most, they would store food for 2 to 3 days. Of course, those who cooked would store food with a long shelf life at home, such as rice, flour, and the like. Vegetables, on the other hand, would not be stored. In the cities, there were actually many people who did not cook. As a result, they had no choice but to go out to the streets to get food. Even if the outside world was full of unknowns, even if there might be danger outside, What is going on with this D*MN world? Who the F*CK knows? In just one F*King night, the weeds have grown to the height of a person. Look at those trees. If they were normal, they would not be able to grow so big even after a few hundred years. Do you think this situation has anything to do with that game? Meteor mutation game. F*CK, there might be a connection. Even if there is a connection, we can't do anything. It's a pain in the ass. Speaking of which, did you use your phone to check your bank account? You're talking about credit points. Previously, in the game, I saw a group of people talking about credit points. I went to check it out. All my money had become credit points. Could it be that Earth has been kidnapped? Who knows? But credit points should be usable. As for what is going on, only God knows. The voices of discussion gradually became softer. Yi Chen, who was riding his bicycle, gradually distanced himself from the group of people. At this moment, it seemed harmonious, but it wouldn't be long before this peace was broken. Once people confirmed that the guns had lost their effectiveness, chaos would erupt and continue. Even if Pangu began to provide them with daily necessities, it was of no use. At that time, people would understand this world and the primordial world game. New desires and hopes would appear, and they would be even stronger. Killing, fighting, and chaos would become an eternal theme. Because of the humans themselves, and also because of the shamans and demons. When Yi Chen arrived at the entrance of the 5-star hotel on his bicycle, a figure stumbled out of the hotel. Hu Xiaoye? Yi Chen was slightly taken aback. Then, he frowned. Hu Xiaoye's white dress was stained with blood. Her hair was messy and her face was filled with fear. It was obvious that she had encountered something that made her extremely afraid. Just when Yi Chen thought that Hu Xiaoye had encountered a violent gang, several squeaks were heard. Yi Chen's expression changed when he heard the squeak. His body moved, and in a breath, he was behind Hu Xiaoye. He waved his right hand, and the God Slayer instantly appeared. Hu Xiaoye naturally saw Yi Chen, but Yi Chen was too fast. Before she could say anything, Yi Chen was already behind her. Hu Xiaoye was slightly taken aback. Then, she began to panic again. She screamed, "Yi Chen! Run! There's—" Hu Xiaoye's words came to an abrupt halt. Because she saw the Godslayer in Yi Chen's hand. It wasn't that she recognized the Godslayer, but she was very sure that Yi Chen was empty-handed just now. There was nothing in his hands. Although she was in a sorry state, she was very sure that her eyes weren't playing tricks on her. Yi Chen ignored Hu Xiaoye. His eyes were fixed on the hotel lobby. At that moment, a giant rat the size of an adult golden retriever appeared at the top of the hotel lobby's stairs. A ferocious level rat. How was that possible? Yi Chen instantly confirmed the giant rat's strength. It was a ferocious level rat. Enlightened, ferocious, gremlins, monsters, and fairies. These were the strength levels of the monster race's minions. Fairies were considered true members of the monster race. All of them could transform into humans. Of course, they had the body of a human and the head of a beast. Their bodies more or less retained some of their original characteristics. For example, their heads, tails, claws, and so on. Yi Chen, run! Hu Xiaoye screamed again when she saw the giant rat coming down the stairs. Chapter 20. Yi Chen was slightly taken aback. Without turning his head, he shouted, "Shut up! Leave if you don't want to die." Yi Chen could naturally tell that Hu Xiaoye meant well. If it were an ordinary person, they would probably run straight away without saying a word. A ferocious level rat wasn't that scary. It was just that they were fast, strong, and had thick skin. Of course, this was for Yi Chen. If it were an ordinary person, it would be very dangerous. If they couldn't beat him in terms of strength and speed, there was only one outcome: death. There were very few exceptions. Yi Chen asked Hu Xiaoye to leave. Although his tone was a little harsh, it was also to tell Hu Xiaoye not to hesitate and to leave quickly. This was also for her safety. If Yi Chen's current strength was converted to that of a demon, then Yi Chen's strength was also at the ferocious level. However, Yi Chen wasn't afraid. Even if there were 10 or even 20 ferocious level beasts, Yi Chen wouldn't be afraid. This was because Yi Chen had the Godslayer. Although it was only a Godslayer, damaged, it was still a connate cardinal treasure. Humans would die if they were stabbed, and beasts would die if they were stabbed. However, at this moment, Yi Chen's brows were tightly knitted. His expression didn't look very good. Rats were social animals. Usually they were family animals. However, after the meteor fell, all the rats that were enlightened would spontaneously gather together. This wasn't a big deal. However, once their strength increased and there was a huge number of them, it would be dangerous. Even with the Godslayer, Yi Chen wasn't confident that he could protect himself, let alone Hu Xiaoye's safety. Yi Chen had no intention of running away or avoiding the brunt of the attack. Yi Chen didn't want to find out why these rats appeared in the hotel. However, Yi Chen knew that these rats must have obtained some treasure to be able to reach the ferocious level in just 8 hours. Or they must have eaten something good. Otherwise, they wouldn't have reached the ferocious level so quickly. Moreover, it was a group of rats that reached the ferocious level. While the plants were growing wildly, there would also be some mystical plants with energy. Yi Chen did not mind if he had only reached the beast level after swallowing such things. Because it was useless to care, they were all eaten. What Yi Chen cared about was the treasure. There weren't many treasures that fell to the ground along with the meteor, but they were all very powerful treasures. More importantly, in his previous life, no rat demon had risen to power in this city. Combined with the current situation, it was not difficult to make a judgment. These beast-level rats must have been killed by someone. Even Hu Xiaoye from Yi Chen's previous life was buried under the sharp teeth of these big rats. Yi Chen did not care who killed him. Yi Chen only cared about the treasures. If there really was a treasure, Yi Chen did not want to miss it. Moreover, if these rats were allowed to grow freely, it would be a big threat to Yi Chen, who was about to establish his territory. Ordinary rats could be ignored, but the rat in front of him could not be allowed to live. Otherwise, if it was allowed to develop and become a demon king, it would lead a huge group of rats and cause great damage to the territory. It would be terrifying. In his previous life, many territories were destroyed by large rats that blotted out the sky and covered the earth. This was under the condition that the rat race did not have a demon king. Yi Chen did not want to repeat the same mistake, nor did he want to use others to kill the rat. The danger had to be eliminated immediately. Squeak, squeak, squeak. A sharp and terrifying rat cry sounded. The big rat that came down the stairs saw Yi Chen. Its scarlet eyes revealed a bloodthirsty glow. Hu Xiaoye, who was about to speak after being scolded by Yi Chen, was scared out of her wits again. She involuntarily took a step back and stopped. She took another step back and stopped again. Time and again, he wanted to escape, wanted to run, but gave up every time. At this moment, she was conflicted. She wanted to escape as soon as possible. Those big rats were too terrifying. They bit through a leg with a single bite. Even the bone couldn't stop their sharp teeth. The people in the hotel, whether they were in the room or in the corridor, were all found by the rats. Then, they were bitten to death, chewed to pieces, and swallowed. Nothing was left. However, Yi Chen did not leave. He stood at the door like a rock. Hu Xiaoye opened her mouth, but did not know what to say. She realized that Yi Chen really had no intention of leaving. After an intense battle, Hu Xiaoye gritted her teeth and stomped her feet. Then, she stood there. However, her hand grabbed Yi Chen's bicycle that he had put aside. She did not want to die. She really did not want to die. However, she did not want to be condemned by her conscience in the future and have nightmares day and night. Yi Chen had saved her once. This was the second time. She never thought that Yi Chen, the most inconspicuous person in the class, the one who ate the worst and dressed the worst, would save her, twice at that. In her opinion, Yi Chen was also standing in front of her this time. At this moment, Yi Chen moved with the Godslayer. His body rushed towards the big rat that was rushing towards Yi Chen, ready to bite him to death. There were no fancy moves. Yi Chen simply raised his spear and stabbed. Poochie! A sound was heard. The big rat that was rushing towards Yi Chen was instantly pierced and then thrown away by Yi Chen. Blood splashed in the air. Squeak, squeak. The sound of a large number of rats could be heard. Big rats appeared at the stairs one after another. Ah! Hu Xiaoya's face suddenly froze and then she screamed. Chapter 21. Yi Chen frowned. He did not expect that Hu Xiaoya would not leave. But at this time, he did not have time to care about Hu Xiaoya. Yi Chen held the Godslayer with one hand and stomped on the ground with his right foot. His whole body instantly bounced toward the big rats at the top of the stairs. Squeak, squeak. Furious and sharp cries were heard instantly. Yi Chen's action provoked the big rats. The three rats leaped up ferociously and pounced at Yi Chen ferociously. Rats were timid. But rats that had been enlightened and became ferocious beasts were exceptions. In fact, any bird or beast that had been enlightened would become extremely ferocious. Not to mention that there was more than one big rat at this moment. Yi Chen narrowed his eyes and slashed with the Godslayer in his right hand. A black light flashed. Poochie, poochie. Two sounds were heard instantly. Of the three big rats that pounced on Yi Chen, the two closest to the front were instantly beheaded by the Godslayer. They could not be more dead. At this moment, Yi Chen kicked with his right foot. Bang! A loud sound rang out as Yi Chen kicked the third rat into the air. At this moment, Yi Chen also rushed forward and stabbed with the Godslayer. Poochie! The Godslayer pierced through the third big rat. Yi Chen swung his right hand and the big rat's corpse was instantly thrown to the side. Then, he continued to rush forward. With the memory of his previous life, Yi Chen naturally knew that he could not fight with rats in an open space. At least, he could not before he had enough strength. At this moment, the most suitable place was the stairs. The size of a ferocious beast was comparable to that of an adult golden retriever. It was impossible for many big rats to attack at the same time on the stairs. This was also the reason why Yi Chen rushed to the stairs. When Yi Chen reached the stairs, he stopped. At this time, another big rat rushed down. Yi Chen did not hesitate to stab out with his spear. Big rat died in an instant, and then Yi Chen threw him to the side. Another rat appeared, and the Godslayer stabbed and swung again. Another ferocious level rat was killed. One after another, they appeared. Yi Chen held the god-slaying spear and stabbed out again and again, ending the lives of the beast-level rats one after another. 1, 2. When the rats' corpses piled up like a mountain, no more rats came out. Just because they were enlightened didn't mean that they were smart. Furthermore, these rats had all evolved into ferocious beasts and eaten many people. They were all brimming with confidence. This was also one of the reasons why Yi Chen could easily kill this group of beast-level rat. Outside the hotel, Hu Xiaoya stared blankly at Yi Chen, who was slaughtering everyone in his way, with an incredulous expression on her face. It wasn't that no one had ever fought with these super big rats before. Some people even used fire axes as weapons, but it was useless. It was very difficult to cut these big rats. Even if they cut them, they didn't directly kill them. Instead, they provoked more ferocious revenge. But now, Yi Chen was casually killing them one after another, as if it was as simple as eating and drinking. Looking at the piles of big rat corpses, Hu Xiaoya swallowed her saliva with a gulp sound. It wasn't because she was greedy, but because she was shocked. She was shocked because of Yi Chen's strength. In Hu Xiaoya's eyes, Yi Chen was an ordinary person who couldn't be more ordinary. But it was such an ordinary person who did things that others couldn't do. He killed so many big rats like monsters. Yi Chen frowned at this time because Yi Chen didn't see the Rat King. The Rat King was different from ordinary rat. It had a unique symbol. It had a tuft of white, golden, or red hair on its head. It didn't have a fixed color. Hurry up and leave here. Yi Chen looked back at Hu Xiaoye and said in a deep voice. After saying that, Yi Chen carried the Godslayer and went upstairs. As soon as Hu Xiaoye opened her mouth to speak, Yi Chen left. She stopped herself from speaking. After hesitating for a moment, Hu Xiaoye still didn't move. She didn't dare to leave. If there were big rats here, who knew what would happen outside? But she also didn't dare to follow Yi Chen upstairs. Because Yi Chen's meaning was very clear. There was still danger here. Yi Chen naturally didn't care about what Hu Xiaoye thought. At this moment, Yi Chen only had one thought, which was to find the Rat King as soon as possible and kill it. As for the treasure that might exist, it couldn't be in the nest of these rats. If it was there, these rats wouldn't have come out. If the rats were out, the Rat King wouldn't stay in its nest. It wouldn't be safe. Therefore, there was only one conclusion. If there was a treasure, it could only be on the Rat King. Because of the game, humans all had bags. So did the monsters and witches. Therefore, Yi Chen wanted to find the Rat King and kill it. Then, he would know if there were any treasures. Tap tap, Yi Chen went upstairs step by step. The Godslayer was always in attack mode. Gradually, a pungent smell drifted over. Yi Chen's eyes widened. The Rat King was nearby. The pungent smell was unique to the Rat King. It was very strange, but it was the truth. This was the memory from Yi Chen's previous life. It was also because of the memory from his previous life that Yi Chen chose to go upstairs directly to find the Rat King. Otherwise, the hotel was so big and there were 2 staircases. How could Yi Chen find the Rat King so easily by himself? At the entrance of the hotel, Hu Xiaoye looked around nervously. She was afraid that another big rat would suddenly appear. At this moment, a noisy noise was heard. It was the voices of people, the voices of many people discussing wildly. Chapter 22. I like the current world. F***ck, those security guns are useless now. Ha. Hee hee, brother hey, no one will dare to interfere with what we do in the future. That's right. F***ck, if anyone dares to disobey us, we'll kill them. Let's go, we'll take over this hotel today. This hotel will be our base in the future. A group of people walked out from the bushes at the entrance of the hotel. Each of them had a knife in their hands, some of them stained with fresh blood. Obviously, they had just killed someone. Hey brother hey, there's a girl here. The person who was scouting ahead said excitedly. Hu Xiaoye originally had her back facing these people. When she heard the voice, she turned around and looked. F***ck. She's so pretty. One of them exclaimed. Ha ha ha, I'm in luck. Go catch this girl. She'll be your sister-in-law from now on. The person called Brother Hay waved his hand and shouted arrogantly. Hu Xiaoye's expression changed when she heard this. She turned around and ran towards the hotel without hesitation. Mother ***ker, he still dares to run. Chase after him. Brother Hay spat out a mouthful of phlegm and shouted. The group of delinquents chased into the hotel. Then they all gasped. F***ck. Is this a F***king rat? How is this possible? How can a rat be so big? F***ck. Didn't they say that animals are not allowed to become demons after the founding of the country? What's wrong with these big rats? Gulp, gulp. Several sounds were heard. The hotel lobby instantly quieted down. F***ck, who's so awesome to kill so many big rats? One of them said in shock. A rat is a rat. No matter how big it is, it's still a rat. So, what's so strange about them being killed? Alright, everyone, get your spirits up. Capture that girl for me. Brother Hay snorted and then shouted. Yes, brother. A group of several hundred underlings shouted in unison. Second floor of the hotel, room 202. Crunch, crunch. The eerie sound of chewing came from room 2021 after another. Yi Chen went up to the second floor and ran towards room 202 where the chewing sounds were coming from. In his previous life, Yi Chen had often heard this kind of sound. It was the sound of wild beasts chewing on food. When he arrived at the door of 202, Yi Chen squinted his eyes as he looked at the sticky blood flowing out from the floor and smelled the stench of blood and urine in the air. This was the place. Yi Chen carried the Godslayer and walked straight into room 202. What he saw was a giant rat that was twice the size of an adult golden retriever. It was gnawing on a human corpse. In the room, there were more than 20 corpses that had been bitten to death. It was preparing to evolve into a demonic beast. No wonder the Rat King didn't participate in the attack and didn't command its subordinates. At this moment, the Rat King with a tuft of red hair on its head stopped chewing and looked at Yi Chen. Displeasure appeared in its eyes. Then, it let out an extremely sharp roar. Creak, creak. Humans, the existence that it once feared, were now only fit to be its food. Yes, food. At that moment, not only was the human in front of it not afraid of it, but he was also emitting a strong murderous aura. It felt the murderous aura, so it was angry. It wanted to teach this food in front of it a lesson. It wanted to let him know what it meant to be a big rat standing at the top of the world. Then, it stood up and looked at Yi Chen fiercely. At this moment, Yi Chen moved. He walked towards the Rat King step by step. Calm, unhurried, indifferent, and cold murderous aura. Creak! The Rat King's eyes instantly turned scarlet because of Yi Chen's provocation. Then, it jumped and pounced towards Yi Chen. Die! Yi Chen stabbed the Godslayer in his hand. Poochie! A sound was heard. The Godslayer effortlessly pierced through the Rat King's head and came out from its fat buttock. The Rat King's eyes were instantly filled with shock, confusion, and then despair. Then, it lost all signs of life. Clang! A millstone-sized object suddenly fell from the Rat King's body. Yi Chen's eyes suddenly widened. A spirit-gathering array disc. The millstone-sized object that the Rat King dropped was a spirit-gathering array disc. It could automatically gather the energy of heaven and earth. This kind of existence was not only beneficial to the territory, but also greatly beneficial to cultivation in the real world. No wonder this group of rats could evolve into ferocious beasts in 8 hours. He wondered what grade the spirit-gathering array disc was. After thinking, Yi Chen casually flung the Rat King's corpse to the side. Then, he bent down and picked up the spirit-gathering array disc. When Yi Chen saw the word Earth carved on the spirit-gathering array disc, he couldn't help but smile. I thought it would be black iron, bronze, or something like that. At most, it would be gold or diamond. I didn't expect it to be Earth grade. Black iron, bronze, silver, gold, diamond, yellow, mystic, earth, and heaven grade were some of the grades of equipment. Above them were the spirit treasures. Ordinary people couldn't get their hands on them, and most of them were in the Eldritch world. Spirit Gathering Array Disc. Earth grade automatically gathers the energy of heaven and earth to produce spirit stones. The gathering range is 100 spirit stones per day. Spirit stones were a type of energy crystal. They could be used for cultivation, and they could also be used for production in the territory to support the operation of the offensive and defensive systems. Naturally, it couldn't be used at the moment. Otherwise, it would attract the attention of all living things. This couldn't be helped. The gathering range was 100 miles. It was impossible not to attract attention. If he wanted to use it, he would have to wait until he built a territory in the real world. Moreover, he would have to wait until he had a city wall. At that time, Yi Chen wouldn't have to worry about the demons. In fact, he couldn't wait for them to come. In the real world, demons ate humans, and humans could also eat demons. The benefits were not small. However, most of the time, demons were stronger, so the ones who were eaten were mostly humans. Yi Chen put away the spirit-gathering array disc and walked out of 202. At this moment, a scream was heard. Yi Chen, there's a hooligan. Chapter 23. When Yi Chen saw the flustered Hu Xiaoye and the gangsters who had just caught up to the second floor, he immediately frowned. There were quite a number of gangsters, and they were still running up to the second floor. Of course, even if there were more of them, Yi Chen was not afraid. Yi Chen frowned, not because there were too many gangsters, but because he was somewhat unhappy. If it were an ordinary person facing so many gangsters, they would most likely be crippled or even lose their life. Moreover, Yi Chen had no relationship with Hu Xiaoye. Their only relationship was that of a classmate, the kind of classmate who had never spoken a word in school. But Hu Xiaoye came to Yi Chen to ask for help. Before Yi Chen could open his mouth, the gangsters who had just experienced a massacre were the first to explode. Motherf *Ker, where did you find this big gun? Quickly bring it to me. Motherf *Ker, quickly come here, give this grandpa the gun and then kowtow. Kowtowing is too easy for this kid, let me brag first. Before this person could finish his words, Yi Chen's eyes suddenly opened, revealing a cold light. At this time, Yi Chen stomped his right foot, and then his body quickly rushed toward the gangsters. Motherf *Ker, you dare. Before one of the gangsters could finish his sentence, the black, thick, and domineering God Slayer pierced the gangster's mouth. Yi Chen's right hand trembled. Bang! A sound was heard. The head of the gangster who was pierced instantly exploded. Red, white, and splattered everywhere. Tremor was an attack technique that Yi Chen accidentally obtained in his previous life. It was also by relying on this technique that he was able to survive in that cruel world for 5 years. And now, tremor was once again used by Yi Chen. After shattering that gangster's head with a single shot, Yi Chen's whole body turned into a fierce tiger and rushed into the flock of sheep. The black big gun whistled through the air. With a single shot, the head exploded. With a single shot, the intestines were pierced. With a single shot, the internal organs were burned. One after another, the hooligans were smashed to death by Yi Chen, stabbed to death, or sent flying. Corpses instantly covered the ground. The gangsters at the back all stared with their eyes wide open, and their bodies involuntarily began to tremble. When had they ever seen such a ferocious person? No. In their eyes, they were ruthless and fierce enough to kill. But what about the lord in front of him? They were even more ruthless and ferocious than them. One shot, one kill. If it wasn't a headshot, a hole would be pierced, or they would be sent flying. Even if they were sent flying, their stomachs would be sliced open. In just a few breaths of time, more than 20 people fell to the ground, dying a horrible death. It was no wonder that these hoodlums were frightened. They were frightened, but Yi Chen did not stop. If it were anyone else, they might not have dared to do so. After all, the world had just begun to change, and the concept of killing was still in everyone's mind. However, Yi Chen knew that it wouldn't be long before killing became the main theme of this world. Human and human, human and demon, shaman and demon, shaman and demon, shaman and human. Killing, blood, and corpses would be the main theme of the future. Yi Chen was reborn, so he did not care about this at all. Yi Chen was not a good person, nor was he a benevolent person. In his previous life, Yi Chen had seen a lot of death and filth. Gradually, Yi Chen learned how to solve problems. There was no other way, just kill. If there was hostility, kill. If there was abuse, kill. If there was a plot, kill. This was the survival law that Yi Chen learned in his previous life, the more violent law of the jungle. Kind people were bullied, and kind horses were ridden. It was not without reason. After the world changed, if one still lived with the morals of the past, then the result would be a corpse. Therefore, the Yi Chen at this moment was simple, straightforward, and violent. The hoodlums began to tremble, and then they were terrified. After that, there was only endless fear left. When they looked at Yi Chen, their gazes were filled with fear and dread. They saw death, and they saw their future. A mutilated corpse lying on the ground. No one cared about it, no one looked at it. It was a corpse lying alone on the ground. I don't want to die. A hoodlum screamed, and then he ran away frantically. One person ran, two people ran, and then a group of people ran. The hoodlums were deeply shocked by Yi Chen's ruthlessness and Yi Chen's fierceness. The scene of people being brutally killed, one after another, pierced deeply into their souls. Their souls trembled again. Brother He, who was still in the hotel lobby, saw a group of underlings running down the stairs in panic and running out. He was instantly furious, and then he shouted, "Mother ***, why did you all come back? Where's that chick?" However, no one answered him. These hoodlums who saw Yi Chen's cruel side, and were still alive, only had one thought in their minds at this moment. ***ck Big Brother, ***ck the future. If I want a chick, I'll live on. As long as I live on, I'll never be in the underworld again. Brother He looked at his underlings running out of the hotel one after another. His face was extremely dark. If his underlings were disobedient in the past, he would have already scolded them, and even punished them. But now there were hundreds of disobedient underlings. How could he punish them? If only he had a pistol, it would be good. But now the pistol was useless. Mother ***, what the hell is going on? Brother He shouted with an ashen face. Brother He, it's not good. A voice full of fear was heard. He saw a pale-faced man stumbling over. What's wrong? Brother He asked in a deep voice. There's a fierce person killed more than 200 of our underlings. What? Brother He was shocked when he heard this, and then he shouted in shock. At this moment, a pitch-black spearhead appeared from the staircase. The tip of the spear was dripping with blood. Chapter 24. Brother He was shocked at first, then he couldn't believe it. How was it possible for a single person to kill more than 200 people? In Brother He's opinion, this was simply impossible. At this moment, Yi Chen walked out of the staircase expressionlessly. I don't want to die yet. Brother He, take care. Brother He's underling stammered and ran away. Brother He, who didn't believe it at first, swallowed his saliva with a gulp. Murderous aura, a strong murderous aura, strongly stimulated Brother He's nerves. He had killed before, had a murder case on his back, and had seen many desperados. He was very sensitive to murderous aura. Yi Chen's murderous aura was extremely dense. It was so dense that Brother He felt suffocated. Friend, perhaps we have some misunderstanding. Brother He tried his best to calm down, but it was useless. However, he still opened his mouth. You're their boss? Yi Chen asked. Yes. Big brother, there must be some misunderstanding. Brother He nodded stiffly. ***ck. This murderous aura, how many people did he have to kill to have this? Brother He only had one thought at this moment. ***ck. Why did I come here for no reason? Yi Chen walked towards Brother He, and Brother He's entire body began to tremble. He was afraid that Yi Chen would kill him. Yi Chen, who was standing in front of Brother He, glanced at him and said, "Call your underlings back and ask them to do something for me. If you do it well, you can live. If you don't, you'll die." Plop! A sound was heard. Brother He sat on the ground in fright. He relaxed after hearing that he wouldn't die, and his legs couldn't support his body. Yi Chen frowned at this moment. Big brother, I'll call them right away. Brother He saw Yi Chen frown and hurriedly stood up and said loudly. After saying that, he hurriedly left the hotel. Yi Chen didn't even look at Brother He. He walked straight to the sofa in the hotel lobby and sat down. Yi Chen did not kill Brother He and his group of hooligans because Yi Chen wanted them to do something and then officially establish the reincarnation village. Yi Chen originally planned to wait 3 months before using the village creation token in real life. This was because 3 months was the safe period set by Wisdom Brain Pangu. Yi Chen could use these 3 months to gather resources and build Samsara City in the real world. This was because in his previous life, Many people in the real world had their territories occupied by others. Yi Chen did not want the same thing to happen to his territory, so he decided to build Samsara City and use the city walls. Real. That way, Yi Chen wouldn't have to worry about others plotting against Samsara City. After the city wall, was used, it would have an automatic attack from the arrow towers. Its power was not something that any person or demonic beast could withstand. However, Yi Chen didn't want to wait. Yi Chen wanted to build Samsara Village in the real world right now. As for the reason, it was because of the spirit-gathering formation plate, Earth level, that he had just obtained. This thing, the sooner it was used, the better. It could automatically generate spirit stones every day. Spirit stones were a necessity in the future. It was important for people and also for the production of the territory. As for building the territory now, it would be spied on by others. Yi Chen was not worried. As long as Yi Chen was strong enough, any spying would be useless. Yi Chen had the guts and confidence to do so, because the Star Pearl was 100% synchronized, and also because of the Spirit Beast Flaming Tiger in the chaotic world. Both of these were indispensable. The Star Pearl could guarantee that Yi Chen's strength would increase rapidly, and the Spirit Beast Flaming Tiger could be summoned to the real world to protect Yi Chen when Yi Chen was in the game. Soon, there would be more and more ferocious beasts and even demonic beasts in the world. Yi Chen was also not worried. As long as the territory was built in the real world, it would be the same as the 3-month safe zone created by the Wisdom Brain Pangu. There would also be 3 months of safety. As for whether Brother He and the other gangsters would come back or not, Yi Chen did not care. Even if they did not come back, the reincarnation village could still be built. It was just that Yi Chen needed to work a little. The sound of high heels came. It was Hu Xiaoye. She went downstairs. Yi Chen did not look at Hu Xiaoye. He just sat on the sofa and closed his eyes to rest. In the lobby of the hotel, ferocious beasts and rats were everywhere. At the stairs, blood was constantly flowing into the lobby. The smell of blood was extremely strong. Yi Chen? Hu Xiaoye looked at Yi Chen with a complicated expression. After hesitating for a while, she called out, "Go wherever you want. You don't have to ask me," Yi Chen said without turning his head. Yi Chen did not have any special feelings for Hu Xiaoye. She was beautiful, but she was not Yi Chen's woman. The two were classmates, but they did not say a word before. Including this time, Yi Chen saved her 3 times, but Yi Chen did not feel anything. It was not that Yi Chen was indifferent, but Yi Chen did not have the mood at the moment. The world changed dramatically, the liches rose, and the human race was in civil war, conspiracy, betrayal, killing, bloody and cruel. These were the memories of Yi Chen's previous life. Therefore, Yi Chen was vigilant against anyone and would not easily trust anyone. Even if she was beautiful, Yi Chen would not easily believe her, and would not flatter her because of this. At this moment, Yi Chen suddenly frowned. "The place Xiaoye mentioned on the phone, is it here?" An anxious and irritable roar came at this moment. "You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.